Two famous film producers are having breakfast in an expensive restaurant. They're discussing the budget for a sequel to a very successful movie that got $500 million at the box office. They're talking very quietly since they mention important details of the script. They suspect that someone might overhear them. The producers are right. Some curious people are indeed eavesdropping on their conversation. Find them. There's a guy at the next table holding a magazine upside down. Obviously, he isn't reading it. That girl over there is a journalist. There's a camera lens sticking out of her backpack. See? And that man is eating a salad, but you can notice a microphone hidden in his long hair. Three people are standing in line in front of an ice cream truck. The first guy is taking a cone from the vendor. The guy behind him is nervous. His hands are in his pockets. The third guy is looking at something through binoculars. Which one of them is a police officer? Look at the first guy. He's got a police radio in his pocket. A biker was traveling along a country road when he heard a scream. A woman was calling for help. She seemed to be in the forest. The biker rode in her direction and saw three girls among the trees. They were all begging him to save them from a vampire. "But which of you is the vampire?" the man asked. "It's her!" All the girls screamed and pointed at one another. How could the biker find out who was human? There are two side mirrors on the motorcycle. The biker needed to turn the handlebars and check which girl reflected in them. Mary opens her eyes and realizes that she's somewhere unknown. The last thing she remembers is walking in the park and then darkness. There's a lot of garbage in the room. A red lamp is flashing on the ceiling. Mary can leave through the door. It's open. But wait, she needs to take some useful stuff from the room. She can only choose two items. Which ones? Mary needs to get scuba gear and a mask. Look at that small window. Fish are swimming by. Mary is underwater. There are 4 inmates in this prison cell, and they all look pretty hardened to me. Well, all but one. There's a newbie here. Can you guess who it is? You might have thought on the desperate guy, but look. There are 5 dashes on the wall next to him. He's been in prison for some time already. The new guy is opposite him, with no dashes at all. Alex returns to his top floor apartment after a workout at the gym. When he's having lunch, water utility workers come and knock on his door. They say the ceiling in Alex's apartment is about to collapse because his neighbors forgot to turn off a faucet. And now they're flooding the building. They ask the guy to evacuate immediately. Alex closes the door and calls the police. Why? He lives on the top floor. No one can flood him. Annie just got a new motorbike she's been dreaming about for years. In the morning, she polished it for her evening bike ride, closed the garage, and went to work. In the evening, she opened the garage and found that her motorbike was gone. She questioned 3 neighbors. Adrian said, "When I went grocery shopping at noon, the motorbike was still in your garage." Angela said that she'd left before sunrise and had just returned home. Kate said that she hadn't paid any attention to Annie's house. She'd been worried about her job interview. Who stole the bike? Adrian. He said that he'd seen the bike in the garage, but it couldn't be true because it had been closed. There was a grand ball organized in honor of Miss Parsons' birthday, and half of the town was invited. Suddenly, the lights in the entire building went off for a couple of minutes. When the lights came back on, Miss Parsons' beautiful diamond earrings were missing. The main suspect was her distant cousin, Sylvia. But the girl said that she'd been in the bathroom fixing her makeup. She didn't even notice the lights had gone out because she'd been busy. Who's lying? Miss Parson or Sylvia? The lights went out in the entire building. If Sylvia had been fixing her makeup, she would have definitely noticed that something was wrong. Adele found her friend Oliver on the floor in his studio in the attic. She called the police. The officer who came asked the girl to tell him what had happened. Adele said that she'd been walking past Oliver's house and noticed that the lights were on. She came up to the window, peeked inside, and saw him on the floor. She called the police and ran into the house. The officer didn't believe her. Do you? No, it doesn't sound right. The guy was in the attic. Adele couldn't possibly see him through the window. One rainy evening, Martha came home and found that someone had eaten her chocolate bar.
Oh, no.
She asked her siblings who had done that. Laura said that she'd been working out in her room and she didn't even eat sweets. Ashley said that she would never eat someone else's chocolate. Luna said that she'd been outside watering plants in the garden. She had just come home herself. Who lied? I'd say it was Luna. It was raining outside, so she didn't really need to water the plants. Colette always wanted to get a cat, but her mom wouldn't allow her. Once, the girl found a kitten in the street and brought it home. She decided to hide the animal from her mom. Still, one morning, Colette's mom walked into her daughter's room and realized a cat lived there. How did she figure it out? Colette was wearing shorts and she had scratches on her legs. Jenny was locked in her room with 15 other people. Each of them could see the entire room with all the people inside without turning their head or body or moving in any other way. To get out of the room, Jenny had to place an apple in such a way that everyone but one person could see it. The girl managed to do it, but how? She put the apple on top of one person's head. An old sailor hauled a treasure chest from the seabed. As soon as he took one gold coin from there, a pirate appeared in front of him.
"How dare you touch my treasures?"
the pirate said.
"You're doomed to spend half of your life at sea and the other half on land."
The sailor is old and he doesn't know how much time he has left to live. How can he spend half of his remaining life in the water? He can do it if he spends one day at sea and another day on land. A teacher informed his students that there was just one question they had to answer to pass the exam. He took a shiny billiard ball out of his briefcase and put it on the desk.
"Prove this ball doesn't exist,"
the teacher said. By the end of the exam, all students wrote their answers, yet none of them passed, but one. That only student who wrote 2 words on their sheet of paper and got the passing grade. What did they write? What ball? You're walking through a dark forest and notice a door. It's just standing there by itself. You open it, take a step, and find yourself in a wonderful pink world. There are pink rivers and pink trees there. You see a 1-story pink house and go inside. All the furniture is pink. A meowing pink cat is walking around. You walk down the corridor to the stairs leading to the 2nd floor. What color is this staircase? There are no stairs in the house. It's a 1-story building, remember?
Look at this image. What is wrong here? Fire tracks are usually red, not green. Great job! Now, how about this picture? There are no butterflies in the winter. And one more image for you. Look at these people. Do you notice anything strange? These guys seem to be playing tennis, but they are using a tiny football. Two people were born at the same moment, but they don't celebrate their birthdays on the same day. How is it possible? They were born in different time zones, and in one of these zones, it was already the next day. Captain Jack was an infamous and feared pirate who had robbed thousands of ships with the help of a small trick. It allowed him to approach any ship from any country easily and get close enough to grapple it without any problems. What was this trick? Captain Jack had a collection of flags from different countries. Instead of using Jolly Roger, fearsome black flag, he raised the flag of the country the nearing ship was from, and it got him immediate access. A man was in a 9-story building when a fire started. He jumped out of the window, and he didn't get any injuries. How is it possible? The man was on the first floor when he jumped out of the window. Look at these people. One of them is from the future. Can you figure out who it is? Be very attentive. Right, it's this guy. He's got a smartphone in his pocket. Now this looks like a regular picnic in the park, but one of these people is a time traveler. Who is it? It's the guy with the USB port in his arm. At this party, there is a person who came from a different epoch. Your task is to find them. It's this person, wearing a chainmail armor. Poor thing, he must be sweating under all this metal. Mark got locked in a basement. There were no windows, only a door with a letter combination lock. What could probably give him some hint was a note he found in the corner. What is the code word? Mark managed to get out of the basement. The code word was SMART. The key to this riddle was hidden in the alphabet. P plus 3 letters is S, N minus 1 letter is M, and so on. Lisa woke up in the morning and found out that quite a large sum of money was missing from her purse. Her husband was on a business trip, so the person who had taken the money could only be one of her 3 kids. Her daughter Karen, who was 17, her 15-year-old son Christopher, or her 20-year-old son David. Lisa asked her children what they had been doing the previous evening. Karen said that she had gone to bed right after dinner because she had had a headache. Christopher said that he had gone to a nightclub with his best friend Rick. And David answered that he had had his football practice. Lisa immediately knew who had taken the money. What about you? Christopher is lying. He's only 15, so he couldn't get into the club. Melanie invited her colleague Maria for dinner. Maria was surprised. She thought Melanie didn't like her, but the hostess prepared a very nice meal. She even cooked tuna for both of them. She cut the fish in half, and each of them ate their portions. Sometime later, Maria paled and lost consciousness. She was taken to a hospital. It was bad food poisoning. Several days later, police arrested Melanie for trying to poison Maria. But how did she do it? The women ate the same dishes. The poison was on one side of the knife Melanie used to cut the fish. This way, only the piece of tuna she gave Maria was poisoned. 5 costs $25 and 25 $50. If you buy 255, you'll pay $75. What is it that you buy, and how much does one item cost? You're buying door numbers, and one digit costs $25. You are sailing around the world on your yacht when you get caught in a terrible storm. At one point, you hit your head against the mast and lose consciousness. When you come round, you find yourself on a beach, surrounded by unfriendly-looking locals. It turns out that they dislike foreigners. They offer you 3 options. They can send you to a cave filled with tarantulas. They can throw you into a pit filled with yellow scorpions. Or you can meet several hungry lions. What option should you choose to survive? Opt for tarantulas. They are mostly harmless to people. Michelle received a message from the building security that a dangerous criminal had sneaked into the office where she worked. She needed to get out of there as soon as possible. She was running towards the elevators when both of them simultaneously opened their doors. Inside, there were suspicious-looking guys. Which elevator should Michelle opt for? Michelle should run to the second elevator. The criminal has just entered the building. He can't be coming from upstairs. You've been driving for hours, but there's still no sign of civilization. Eventually, you have to admit that you've got lost. You are tired, thirsty, hungry, and have no money to buy anything. Suddenly, on the side of the road, you see 4 doors. Behind the first door, there is plenty of drinking water. The second door hides a lot of tasty food. Behind the third door, there is a cozy hotel room with a comfortable bed. And if you open the fourth door, you'll see piles of cash. Which door will you choose to open first? The first door you should open is the door of your car. In the morning, Paul went out of his house and saw something strange in his garden. There were several pieces of coal, a carrot, and a scarf lying there. There was a fence around Paul's property, so nobody could put those objects there. How did they turn up in the middle of the lawn? It was warm at night, and a snow person that had been standing there melted. Detective Lucas Brown was invited to Long Road College, as more and more thefts occurred there. In a week's time, the man had 3 suspects. "What were you doing when the last theft happened?" he asked each of them. Thomas said, "I was away on that day. I had to drive my younger sister to her music lesson." Amanda replied, "I spent that day in the library, getting ready for my presentation." Ryan said, "I'm going to Denmark with my parents this summer. That's why I spend all my free time learning Dutch." Lucas immediately understood who was lying. Can you figure it out? It was Ryan. They speak Danish in Denmark. Dutch is the official language of Netherlands. 4 prisoners took up art classes. They studied every Monday. Guards escorted them to the art room and searched the prisoners at the end of every lesson. All the prisoners had their own art supplies, which they kept inside their cells. The question is, which of them has more chances to escape? Your time is over, and the answer is this prisoner. He can use his supplies to paint his clothes green. This way he'll look like a guard and will be able to sneak out of jail. criminals kidnapped 3 bank workers to get secret financial information from them. The bankers were locked in a basement with only one window high above the floor. The men decided that at least one of them had to escape and warn the police. The men stood on each other's shoulders, but the one on top still couldn't reach the window. What can they do to escape? The tallest of them should climb on top. And since this man also has longer arms, he will manage to reach the window.
Once, a prison guard accidentally overheard very disturbing rumors. Someone was planning a prison break. The guard watched all the footage from the surveillance cameras and discovered that 2 women had been behaving suspiciously. One of them was a former bodybuilder, muscular, with short hair, and covered in tattoos. The other was quiet and reserved. She preferred to spend time on her own and sometimes cried in her cell. After watching the video several times, the guard figured out which woman was planning to escape. Can you do the same? It's the second prisoner. There's a file in her bun. She can use it to get through the metal bars. Mark comes up to the table. There are 3 apples, but only one of them is safe to eat. The other 2 are poisonous. Unfortunately, Mark can't skip breakfast. So, which apple should he eat? Look, this apple has a caterpillar in it. It means there's no poison in the fruit and it's safe to eat. These 3 women, Jessica, Mary, and Olivia, went shopping. 2 of them are pregnant and one is just trying to steal a watermelon. Can you tell which one is hiding a watermelon? It's Olivia. She's wearing heels. It's not the kind of shoes a pregnant woman would choose to wear. Nathan, a successful entrepreneur with a multi-million-dollar business, and his friend Jackson, a famous private detective, returned from a long-term trip abroad. They decided to stop by at Nathan's villa on the way to the city. When the men entered the house, though, they saw that everything more or less valuable had been taken away. The entire villa was a mess. "I've only been away for a month. What happened here?" exclaimed Nathan. Jackson took an apple from the dining room table and started to munch on it thoroughly. "The lock isn't broken. It means the person who took your stuff had the key." After a while, the detective asked Nathan to invite 3 people. Mia, Nathan's niece, told Jackson she hadn't visited her uncle's home. She had been having serious problems with her car for already 2 months, and the villa was too far away from the city to get there by public transport. Sarah, the maid, claimed that she had stopped by several weeks ago to bring some food and tidy up, but since then she hadn't been to the villa. Adam, the gardener, told the detective he had been on vacation and had just returned. He even offered to show his plane tickets to Jackson. The detective figured out immediately who was behind the mess. You have 8 seconds to figure it out. It was the maid. She said she brought food several weeks ago, but the apple Jackson grabbed from the table was perfectly fresh. Once, Ms. White heard someone crying. It was her little student, Abigail. The girl told the teacher her cookies had been disappearing from her locker. Someone had been taking them for already several weeks, but Abigail didn't know who. Ms. White decided to help the girl. They equipped the locker with a simple alarm that had to go off if someone who wasn't Abigail opened the door. They hid behind the corner and began waiting. In 10 minutes, they heard the alarm. When they reached the locker, it was already empty, and there was no one nearby. But Ms. White noticed somebody disappear behind the art room door. She rushed inside, but everything looked normal. And still, the teacher needed no more than a minute to understand who had been eating Abigail's cookies. Look at the picture of the art room carefully. Can you find out the answer within 8 seconds? It's the girl on the left. Her painting's black and white, but there are only various shades of blue on her palette. And maybe the cookie crumbs are a giveaway too. I don't know. One perfume company hires new staff. They must swear an oath of loyalty to the company if they want to get a job. 10 people are saying the words of the corporate oath simultaneously, but some of them are cheating. Help the directors figure out who these people are. This guy keeps his fingers crossed, and the man on the left is standing with his legs crossed. They won't be loyal to the company, so the director doesn't hire them. 2 influential media moguls are having lunch at an expensive restaurant. They're discussing the merger of their companies. The transaction amount is several $billion. They're whispering since the terms of this deal are top secret, and they suspect that someone can hear them. And they're right. Some curious people are eavesdropping on the conversation between the 2 businessmen. Try to find them. The girl at the next table is reading a newspaper that is turned upside down. She's obviously trying to overhear what the billionaires are talking about. This guy over there is listening to music, but the headphone wire is not connected to anything. Another girl is sitting at the table in the corner with a cocktail, but instead of an umbrella, there's an antenna in her glass. She's recording the conversation. "Where are my employees?" a boss shouts. He's furious because 3 people haven't come to the office. He calls each of them to find out the reason. All 3 tell him they got ill. The boss doesn't believe them, so they have to arrive at the office. Mary is wearing a warm jacket, hat, and scarf. She sneezes, coughs, and looks sick. Lori is walking on crutches. Her leg is in a cast. Sometime later, Michael appears. He's got a hand injury, and now he can't type. The boss is sure that one of them is faking. Who is it? Mike's left arm is broken, but his phone is in his left pocket. He must have used his broken arm to put it there, which means he's pretending. Apparently, he just didn't want to come to work. Ice will melt if you heat it, but if you heat me, I'll become solid. What am I? I'm an egg. You buy this thing to eat, but you never eat it. What is it? It's a plate. Mia was going back home one evening. It was 11 p.m., and she had to cross a small dark park in front of her house. Suddenly, she heard footsteps behind. Someone grabbed her bag and ran away. The girl called the police, and they questioned 4 suspects. Jack said, "I was choosing an outfit for a party." Camila was getting ready for her final exam at home. Andrew told the police he had been watching birds in the park. Nora was at her yoga class. After the interview, the police understood who was behind the robbery. Can you? It was Andrew. At 11 p.m., it's too dark to see birds. James left a folder with important documents on the table in his home office and went to a business meeting. When he returned, he found out that the documents had disappeared. James had 3 suspects. His brother said, "I've been swimming in the pool since you left. I haven't seen or heard anything." The cook replied, "Tomorrow we're having a party. I've been preparing the food." The security guard told James, "I've been outside all this time, checking the garden for mice." Who knows where the documents are? It's the security guard. His job description doesn't include pest control. An accident happened at a busy crossroads in a small town. A driver who caused the crash left in a hurry. Luckily, several witnesses managed to describe the car. A police officer headed to the suspect's house. There, he saw a car that looked exactly like the one from the description, but its owner claimed that he had spent all day at home. The police officer knew the suspect was lying in no time. How? He touched the car hood. It was still hot from the engine that had worked not so long ago. You're walking along a railroad track. Suddenly, you see a speedy train approaching you. Instead of getting off the track immediately, you run toward the train. Why do you risk your life this way? When you notice the train, you're on a bridge. You can't leave the track right away and have to run to the closest place where you can do it.
Amy's elder sister Vicky gave her this shopping list and asked her to get some groceries. Amy took the list without even looking at it, but when she arrived at the supermarket, she realized that her sister had pranked her. Vicky has encoded the names of the products she needed. Can you help Amy figure out what she's supposed to buy? Here's the first product. It's blueberry. What about this one? Watermelon. Can you recognize this food? That's right, it's kiwi. Here's the next rebus. Can you crack this code? Grape. What about this one? Pineapple. Great job. Next riddle. Any ideas? Vicky needs some bananas. And how about this food? That's right. Amy should buy some oranges. And here's the final product. Can you figure out what it is? Lemon. Amy took everything she needed and headed to the cashier. He said,
I'll give you a 90% discount if you manage to solve my riddle.
Amy agreed. Here's the riddle.
If you had 3 apples and 4 oranges in one hand, and 4 apples and 3 oranges in the other hand, what would you have?
Can you help Amy crack this riddle to save some money? Try to think outside the box. Obviously, you must have very large hands to hold all this. Amy left the supermarket and headed home, but suddenly she realized that she'd left her wallet at the checkout. She ran back to the supermarket, but the wallet was nowhere to be found. Amy questioned 3 people standing nearby. Bob, the cashier, said, "Sorry, I didn't see your wallet. I had the other customers." One of the customers, Kim, said, "I think I saw the cleaner take your wallet from the checkout after you'd left." And the cleaner, Nancy, said, "Who do you think I am? I need this job to support my family." Who stole the wallet? It was Kim. She's holding her own wallet in her hand. But there's also Amy's wallet hidden in her boot. Amy didn't want to waste her time, so she told Kim, "I won't call the police if you give me back my wallet and crack my riddle." Kim agreed. Here's the riddle. Can you name 4 days which start with the letter T? It was Kim's lucky day because she managed to solve this riddle. What was her reply? Tuesday, Thursday, today, and tomorrow. Amy, Vicky, and their boyfriends Josh and Greg went hiking and got lost. They wandered around the forest for a few hours and found this sign. There were 3 paths through the forest. The first one would take them to a toxic swamp. No one has ever returned from that swamp alive. Hungry tigers were blocking the second road, and to use the third path, the guys had to cross an ice-cold mountain river. Which way is the safest? The third one. See this sign? It says the river is only 20 inches deep. They can easily cross it. It got dark very fast. While the friends were still trying to find a way to cross the river, their phones had run out of battery, and they only had 1 torch. The river is too risky to cross without any lighting. If all 4 people started crossing the river at the same time, the torchlight wouldn't be enough. Plus, each person would be crossing the river at a different speed. Amy would need only 1 minute. Vicky would do it in 2 minutes. Josh would need 7 minutes, and Greg, 10 minutes. What's the shortest time needed for all friends to cross the river? Usually, people jump to the conclusion that the fastest person should guide everyone. In this case, Amy would have to accompany Greg. It'd take 10 minutes. Then she would need 1 minute to come back. She'd guide Josh across the river. It'd take 7 minutes. Then Amy would spend 1 minute to return for Vicky and make the final 2-minute walk across the river. In this case, the entire process would take 21 minutes. But our task is to minimize the time. That's why we should find a way for the slowest people to walk together. So here's the correct order. Amy and Vicky cross the river, which takes them 2 minutes. Then Vicky comes back. That's another 2 minutes. Greg and Josh take the torch from Vicky and go across the river. It takes them 10 minutes. Then Amy comes back with the torch, takes Vicky, and they cross the river together. That's 3 minutes. In this case, the total time will be 17 minutes. After crossing the river, the guys meet a woodsman. He promises to guide them out of the forest if they solved his riddle. What do an island and the letter T have in common? After the friends answered, the woodsman explained to them how to find the bus stop and disappeared. What did they say? The letter T and the island are both in the middle of the water. It took a while to find the bus station, and the guys got hungry. That's why they decided to buy some food. But only one of these vending machines is safe to use. Can you tell which one? Someone scribbled "cash eater" on this vending machine, so it's probably not working. Cockroaches are crawling all over the food inside this machine. The guys should use the second vending machine. When the bus arrived, the guys realized that they didn't have enough cash to buy the tickets, but the driver was very generous. He said, "I'm gonna give you a free ride if you crack my riddle. It's very simple. Why is 6 afraid of 7? Amy solved this riddle right away. What about you? Because when it was hungry, 7 ate 9. The guys took their seats on the bus. Can you find anything weird here? This elderly lady is transparent. She's a ghost. When Amy and Vicky returned home, they discovered that someone had robbed their house. The girls called the police. Detectives questioned 3 neighbors. Mary said, "Last week, my husband Rick and I were sunbathing in the Maldives. Rick got sunburned and we had to go back home earlier. We've just come from the airport." Love said, "I think I saw a suspicious guy in a hoodie near your house a few hours ago." Joanna said, "My boyfriend and I celebrated our anniversary in a restaurant. We've just returned home." Who's lying? Mary. She said that Rick had gotten sunburned, but now he looks perfectly fine, and he doesn't look tanned either. Amy decided to get a new job to save some money for college. She sent her resume to the local bank and received an invitation for a job interview. The HR manager offered her a riddle to challenge her logical thinking. Imagine you have an unlimited number of coins in your wallet. What's the minimum number of coins you'll need to make sure that each of these coins will touch exactly 3 others? Can you help Amy get the job? The correct answer is 4. She should place 3 coins flat on the table so that they form a triangle and their edges touch each other. And then she can put the 4th coin in the middle on top of the rest. Amy got the job in the bank. After her first day at work was over, she went home. But on her way home, she realized she'd forgotten her phone in the bank. So she went back and took her phone. Suddenly, the girl heard some weird noise coming from the bank vault. She went there and saw these 3 men inside the room. She noticed that one of them was an imposter right away. What about you? Can you spot him? The 3rd guy doesn't belong here. Look, he's wearing a police badge. He must be working undercover. The robbers ran away and locked Amy and the police officers inside the vault. Now they have to solve this riddle to unlock the door. They have to find a way to connect these 9 stars by using just 4 lines, all without lifting their hand even once. Can you help them find the right way? Such a task requires creativity, and this shape meets all requirements. But maybe you came up with something better. Amy bought flowers for her sister's birthday. She was walking down the street holding the bouquet in her hands. Suddenly, a man in a mask ran up to her, grabbed the flowers, and ran to the nearest restaurant. Amy started crying. A patrol car stopped next to her. Amy told the police officer what had happened. They went to the restaurant together to find the criminal. There were 4 men with very similar bouquets. Can you tell who robbed Amy? This guy. Amy's bouquet was tied with purple ribbon. Vicky organized a birthday party. To avoid uninvited guests, she asked the security guard to set a special password, but her boyfriend Harry, who was most definitely not invited, developed a plan that could help him enter the party. He hid near the door and started to listen attentively. When the first guest arrived, the guard said 12. The guest answered with 6. Then the second guest arrived, and the guard said 6. The guest replied with 3. Harry thought he'd heard enough and walked up to the guard. The man said 8, and Harry replied with 4. After hearing this answer, the guard asked Harry to leave. Why? Because the password is not half the number. It's the number of letters in the word. He should have said 5 because the word 8 consists of 5 letters. Can you count the number of squares in this image? The correct answer is 40.
Now, Anna had just graduated from college and was in the process of searching for a job. She was going to apply to a few companies, and she wanted her CV to be perfect to increase her chances. So she checked it once again before sending it. There were 3 mistakes in her CV, including typos. Can you help the girl spot them? Take a look at the year when she graduated from college. In her CV it says 2922, but that's not possible. So she must have typed 9 instead of 0 here. Now look at the education section. She wrote university instead of university. That's the second typo. And the last typo is in the skills section. That's right, the word skills itself is misspelled. A week later, Anna was invited to stage 2 of the application process in 3 different companies. The first one was a packaged food company called Pact Inc. The second one was a tech company called Data Corp. And the third one was a media company called Watch TV. But only one of them is Anna's dream job. Can you tell which of these companies it is? Take a look around her room. You'll notice that there's some merchandise from Data Corp. Anna has their sticker on her laptop, and there's a Data Corp mug on her table. But most importantly, do you see that Post-it note on her mirror that says goals? Her number 1 goal is to get a job at Data Corp. If the first 2 hints didn't convince you, this certainly will do. The talent recruiter of Data Corp soon called Anna. She said the girl would pass stage 2 of the application process if she guessed her name correctly. But of course, I will give you a hint, she said. My name is 2 of 7 Chicago, 2 of 6 London, and 1 of 9 Edinburgh.
What?
Can you tell what the talent recruiter's name is? Two of 7 of the word Chicago gives you the letters C and H. 2 of 6 of the word London are the letters L and O. 1 of 9 of the word Edinburgh gives you the letter E. So, her name is Chloe. Chloe informed Anna that she had passed stage 2 and the company was inviting her to San Francisco for a face-to-face interview. That was stage 3 of the application process.
Oh my god.
The recruiter also said that the company was going to cover all of her expenses if she answered this next riddle correctly. There is a house. One enters it blind, one leaves it seeing. What is it? Do you know the answer? It's a school, and Anna answered correctly. On the day of the interview, Anna arrived at the airport too early. She was hungry, so she decided to eat something. There were only 3 restaurants open at the airport. The first one served only different kinds of salads. The second one sold various types of pizza and pasta. And the third place was a seafood restaurant. Which restaurant should she choose? Take a look at their displays. There are ants inside one of the salad bowls that are on display in the first restaurant. Pass. A few of the fish in the third restaurant's display look rotten. It's probably not a good idea to eat there. So, she should choose the pizza and pasta restaurant. Anna entered the place and ordered meatballs and spaghetti. As she was waiting, 3 friends who were eating at another table caught her eye. They all looked like very rich people. But Anna could tell that only one of them was so rich that she could literally buy anything she wanted. Can you tell how Anna figured that out? First, take a look at the menu board on the wall. All the prices are listed there. And now, look at what each girl is eating. The first one is munching on Neapolitan pizza. The price for this dish is listed as $25. The second girl is eating pineapple pizza, which costs $39.99. The third girl, though, is trying Pizza Royale, which is made with 24-karat gold topping. Look it up, it's a real thing. And its price is $4,000. That's a lot, even for an airport restaurant. So the third girl must be the richest one. It was time to board the plane. The company spared no expense to get Anna to San Francisco with comfort, so she was going to fly business class. As one of the flight attendants showed her to her seat, she told Anna that she was very lucky to be on this flight because there was a very famous actor on board, and he was sitting next to her.
Oh my god.
Can you tell which of these people is the actor? See that guy holding his cell phone? Take a closer look at the screen. He's on his social media sharing a selfie he took with that guy, who must be the famous actor. And now put that cell phone on airplane mode. Time to go. After the plane landed in San Francisco, Anna headed directly to the Data Corp's headquarters for her interview. She told the security guard that Chloe was expecting her for a job interview.
Hello.
After checking the guest list to confirm her words, the security guard gave her a name tag. "Here, take this. All guests have to wear it," he said. Then he gave her a card. "You need to go to the 7th floor to meet her. This card has the passcode to call the elevator. Good luck with everything." Just as Anna was going to thank him, he interrupted her and continued talking. And keep this in mind, the elevator will help you ascend in an orderly way. Anna thought, okay, weird. What can that even mean? Then she walked up to the elevator. There were no down or up buttons, just a passcode panel. Then she looked at the card the security guard had given her and saw a picture of a funny face. There were 3 numbers hidden in that image, and they were the numbers she needed to press on the panel. Can you see them? There's a 7 here, a 3 is here, and here's number 1.
Okay.
But in what order should she press them? Can you help her? Remember the weird thing the security guard said? He actually gave Anna a hint. The elevator will help you ascend in an orderly way. Ascend, order. So, she needs to enter the numbers in ascending order from the lowest to the highest. It means that the passcode is 137. Ah, here comes the elevator. Anna pressed the button for the 7th floor, but the elevator stopped on the 2nd floor. 3 people were going to get in. Anna was excited to see some Data Corp employees, but one of them didn't actually work there. Can you tell who? Remember what the security guard said about all guests having to wear name tags? This lady has one too, so she is a guest and isn't working there. Anna got off at the 7th floor and was greeted by Chloe. The woman directed her toward the manager's office. Anna walked in. "Hello, Anna, I'm Edith," the manager said. "I'm the one who's going to interview you, since you are applying for the manager's assistant position. I saw your CV and I was impressed. You've been solving all the riddles correctly, too. I have one last riddle for you, and if you crack it, we'll hire you.
Oh my god.
I'm a bean, but I'm not magic. I can be roasted, but I'm not a turkey. I can be ground, but I'm not pepper. I can be pressed, but I'm not a button. What am I? Quick, help Anna get this job." The answer is coffee. And you're going to be bringing me a lot of it. Welcome to Data Corp, Anna, Edith said. Wow, that's one weird job interview.
Tyler is on his way to visit his grandma. She lives on the opposite side of the village. It's her birthday, and he wants to give her the cakes that he has prepared. Unfortunately, there are 7 bridges that Tyler needs to cross to get to her house. And there's a mermaid under every bridge. The mermaids always require payment from those who cross their bridges. Before Tyler can cross the bridge, he has to give the mermaid half of all the cakes that he's carrying. But since the mermaids are kind, each of them will give 1 cake back to Tyler. How many cakes should Tyler take from home to make sure that Grandma receives exactly 2 cakes? 2. Tyler will have to give half of his cakes at each bridge, but he'll still get 1 cake back. If Tyler takes 2 cakes from home, he'll manage to stay with 2 cakes after every bridge. Will is going on a jungle trip for 1 day. He asked his wife to pack something to eat, something to drink, and something to help him stay warm. When Will opened his backpack, he found just one thing. Can you guess what it was? A coconut. Will can drink coconut water. He can also eat the coconut meat. And finally, Will can use the coconut peel instead of wood to warm himself up. Nina decided to play a quiz game. She kept asking the same question to everyone she met, and each time she got a different answer. Can you guess what the question was? The question that Nina asked was, what is the time? Take a look at this picture. Can you predict which tank will fill first? Tank 5. The connection between Tank 5 and Tank 2 is blocked, so the water will move into the 5th tank from the first one. But it won't go to Tank 2. Therefore, Tank 5 will fill up first. What about this complicated structure? Can you tell which of the tanks will fill first? Okay, here's the explanation. Tank C is pretty tricky because it's blocked on the right side. So, the water will move to Tank J. And now, it will move to the right and go through Tank L. At this point, it seems pretty obvious that Tank H will get filled first, but that's wrong. It's blocked as well. So, the correct answer is Tank F. There is a wide field of corn. A fox finds its way into the field and starts running. Can you find out to which point the fox can run into the field? The fox can only run to the middle of the field. After that midpoint, the fox will actually be running out of the field. Stacy is a weather forecaster. It's raining today at 11:57 a.m. Can you help her figure out the chances of sunny weather in 72 hours? The chances are 0. In 72 hours, it'll be nighttime. How is a fly different from a mosquito? A mosquito can fly, but a fly cannot mosquito. This is Rick, and these 3 ladies are Melanie, Meg, and Millie. Melanie loves strawberry ice cream. Meg loves blueberry ice cream. And Millie hates ice cream. Can you find Rick's wife among these women? It's Meg. She has a matching ring on her finger. Ice cream preferences don't really matter here. 1.5 guys eat 1.5 burgers in 1.5 hours. How many burgers can 9 guys eat in 3 hours? More hours mean more burgers, and more guys mean more burgers. The time was doubled to 3 hours, and the number of people rose 6 times. Therefore, the number of burgers will be 18. Take a look at this arrangement. It consists of 15 matchsticks. How can you remove exactly 6 matchsticks to make 10? the easiest way. Frank is a grandfather. His grandson is about as old in days as his son is in weeks. The grandson is also as many months old as Frank is in years. The sum of their three ages is 140 years. How old is Frank? Can you guess? To solve this riddle, we need some calculations. Let's say the grandfather is A, the son is B, and the grandson is C. Since the total age is 140 years, we can make up the following equation. A plus B plus C equals 140. Also, the grandson is about as many days old as the son is in weeks, which can be expressed in this equation. 365C equals 52B. And finally, the grandson is as many months old as Frank is in years, so 12C equals A. Now we can put this information into one big equation and calculate the final result. 12C plus 365C divided by 52 plus C equals 140. 624C plus 365C plus 52C equals 7280. 1041C equals 7280, so C equals 6.99. Since the task said that the grandson was about as old in days as his father in weeks, we can round up that number to 7. Therefore, Frank is 84 years old, and his son is 49. If you multiply all the numbers on your phone, what number will you get? Zero. Remember that multiplying any number by 0 always results in 0. Jerry and Sarah went hiking to celebrate their anniversary, but only the wife returned from the vacation. She went to the local police office and said, "Jerry got lost in the woods while I was sleeping in our tent." The sheriff arrested her, saying, "I've talked to your travel agent. We suspect that you're involved in Jerry's disappearance." Sarah didn't inform anyone about the trip. Why did the agent and the sheriff decide that she was guilty? Sarah bought only a one-way ticket for her husband and a round-trip ticket for herself. It means that she was sure that she would be returning alone. Can you tell which of the following statements is true? One statement here is false. 2 statements here are false. 3 statements here are false. The second statement is true. 13 caves are arranged in a circle in an enchanted forest. Each of the 13 caves has treasures and gems. Every day, the cave's guards can move the treasure to an adjacent cave or can keep it in the same cave. Meanwhile, every other day, treasure seekers visit the forest and have enough time to enter any 2 caves of their choice. How can the treasure seekers make sure to find the treasure in the minimum possible days? One of the treasure seekers should move clockwise every day, and one of the treasure seekers should move counterclockwise. This way, they'll find the treasure in a minimum of 7 days. Alice was sitting in her hotel room. Suddenly, she heard a knock on the door. She opened the door and saw a creepy woman standing outside. The woman said, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I thought this was my door." Then she walked through the corridor to the elevator. Alice didn't know the woman. She locked her door and called the hotel security. Alice asked them to arrest that woman. Why did the woman seem suspicious to Alice? If the woman thought the room was hers, she would have used the keys, but she knocked on the door. Alex, Amy, Allie, and Austin got trapped in a jungle. There's a bridge that can lead them back to the city safely. But the bridge is very old and dark. It can handle only 2 people to pass through. Also, the family has only one flashlight to move through the dark. Alex takes 1 minute to cross. Amy takes 2 minutes, Allie takes 4, and Austin takes 5 minutes. How can they all get to the other side in the minimum possible time? Here's what they've got to do. Alex and Amy should go first. It'll take them 2 minutes. Then Alex should spend 1 minute going back to Allie and Austin. Now Allie and Austin should take the flashlight and cross the bridge. It will take 5 minutes. Then Amy should come back to Alex. At this point, they've already spent 10 minutes. And now, Alex and Amy will have to spend 2 more minutes crossing the bridge. And this is how all of them will reach the other side in 12 minutes. Stephanie is a college professor. A supervisor will be visiting her class tomorrow. The supervisor can ask the students any questions. They can be either easy or difficult. Stephanie will still have the right to decide which student will be giving the answer to each question. Stephanie wants to leave the best impression. What instruction should she give to her students to maximize the chances of receiving a correct answer for each question? Can you help her? This task is pretty easy. All Stephanie needs to do is to ask all the students to raise their hands on every question. But those students who know the right answer should raise their left hand, and those who don't know the right answer should raise their right hand. This strategy will help Stephanie to get only correct answers. The supervisor will also be impressed because all the students will raise their hands. Molly and Polly are twins, but only one of them is a real police officer. Can you tell who? Molly. There's a camera filming Polly because she's an actress.
Look at these prisoners. Which of them is going to escape? A small hint. Try to think outside the box. It's the police officer next to them who's going to escape. It's actually a prisoner in disguise. Have you noticed that piece of orange inmate shirt sticking from under his uniform jacket? Look at these people. They have got into a trap, and only a miracle can save them. They're hanging upside down in the air with their legs tied. On the ground, under the redhead girl, venomous snakes are slithering. Under the head of the guy, a fire is burning. And on the ground, under the blonde girl, there are a couple of aggressive scorpions. Who is the only one that can escape in this situation? The only one that can escape is the person filming all this situation. The rest seem to be doomed without some extra help. Maria works as a teaching assistant at a college. One day, she is assigned the task of looking after a group of students who are writing an exam. Maria is sure some of them are going to cheat, so she's extra attentive. And her effort pays off in the middle of the exam. She notices a student who's cheating. Can you figure out who it is too? It's that girl in the back of the classroom. She has the answers written on her leg. Look at these people very attentively. One of them is a millionaire. Take a few minutes to guess which one it is. While the person on the right appears to be enjoying a luxurious lifestyle, he might simply be pretending to be wealthy. The person on the left, with his tattered clothing and sad expression, is unlikely to be a millionaire. The person in the middle, wearing a nice suit and holding a briefcase, might be a millionaire or at least a successful businessman or entrepreneur. But look at the barista. In his pocket, there's a car key to one of the most expensive cars in the world, McLaren. He must be that millionaire, and this beach club is likely to be just a hobby. Look at these two watches very attentively. Can you figure out which of them is real and which is just a toy? The watch on the left is a toy. Look at its mean-at hand. It's too long and won't be able to pass all the way around the watch face. You're trapped in a castle far away from any town or city. You can actually escape by choosing the right path. But which one can lead you to freedom? These three paths look extremely dangerous. Spikes, lava, and even crocodiles. Ugh, scary! But have you noticed that fourth, almost unnoticeable path on the left? It's covered with grass almost completely, but it doesn't mean you can't follow it and get out of that creepy neighborhood. In a small village, there were 3 people who were suspected of being werewolves. One night, the village held a meeting to decide which one of them was a monster. Suspect A had long, sharp fingernails and was known for being able to run extremely fast. Suspect B had long, sharp teeth and was famous for being able to see in the dark. And Suspect C had wild, unkempt hair and could jump extremely high. Can you figure out which of the suspects is the werewolf? It's Suspect B. Long, sharp teeth and being able to see in the dark are both typical characteristics of werewolves. The other suspects have unusual traits as well, but they are not necessarily associated with werewolves. 4 friends went for a walk in a forest. People said an evil wizard lived there. The young people didn't believe those rumors, but when they were in the middle of the forest, a wall of fire blocked their way. Look at the things the friends have, what they can use to put out the fire. Well, they could probably use their water bottles to get some water from that puddle. But even combined, their efforts wouldn't be enough to put out such a large fire. The hose is useless since it's not attached to anything. The friends should opt for this spade and use soil to put the fire out. Look at these 3 girls washing off sea salt after swimming in the ocean. All of them look pretty normal, but one of them is actually a mermaid. Which one is it? It's the girl in the middle. If you look more closely, you'll notice that she's just faking and not letting her skin and hair get wet. While walking in the mountains, you hear a deafening noise. It's a landslide. You end up blocked in a cave. You see these tunnels in front of you. You're shocked to discover that a fire-breathing dragon is guarding the first passage. The second passage is almost completely blocked by poisonous vines growing there. And in the third tunnel, you can see the red eyes of very hungry wolves. What should you do? Have you spotted that little opening in the wall of the cave? Over there, on the left. You can see a tiny part of a starry sky through it. Avoid the tunnels altogether and try to squeeze through this hole. Jacob and Mark decided to go on a camping trip. Look at the things they're going to take with them and try to figure out what they should leave at home. To crack this riddle, you need to think outside the box. Look, a tent, game, rice, lamp. All these words consist of 4 letters. But a chair? This word has 5 letters. The friends should leave it at home. Mark came to visit his girlfriend, who lived on the other side of the town. While he was inside her house having dinner, his bike got stolen. Mark called the police. He said that he'd seen that his bike had been taken by Larry, his girlfriend's ex. The police arrived and questioned Larry. The guy answered that he couldn't have taken the bike since he'd been busy painting his fence and had just finished. The detectives believed him. Can you figure out why? Larry's story seems to be true. There's fresh paint on the grass by the fence, which proves that the guy indeed painted it recently. This granny claims the nurse steals her pills, but the nurse says it's a ridiculous accusation. Can you tell who's lying? Pay attention to the nurse's head. She's wearing not a hat. It's a container with pills. So, the granny is right. She doesn't get her pills because the nurse takes them. Olivia's husband was a hunter. Once, he went on a hunting trip for 3 days. But when he came back home, he brought nothing. The next day, Olivia went to a cafe with several friends. They shared their latest news. Donna said, "I've just bought a new apartment. I'm looking for a designer now to help me decorate it." Sarah boasted, "My boyfriend gave me this bracelet for my birthday." Nina said, "And I went skiing in the Alps. It was a fantastic trip, except for those awful mosquitoes." Olivia left the cafe in tears. She was now sure her husband was cheating on her with one of her friends. Can you figure out which girl is her husband's lover? Nina. For one thing, getting bitten by mosquitoes in the Alps while skiing is highly unlikely. Plus, the bites on her face and body match those Olivia's husband has. They must have been together. Miss Maple met her friend Louisa, and the woman told her she'd seen her daughter, who was supposed to be getting ready for an important exam, in the mall with her boyfriend. Miss Maple came home and asked her daughter whether she had gone to the mall. The girl claimed she had spent the whole day at home, studying. Miss Maple believed her. Why? Do you see that course book on the girl's table? It's open in the middle. Plus, there are lots of notes next to the book. And look at those bags under the student's eyes. She must have indeed been studying.
Cora gets a new job and moves into a luxury apartment in Manhattan. Her condo has 13 floors. 5 people are living on the ground floor, and each floor has 2 more people on it compared to the previous one. Which floor calls the elevator the most? Any person who lives on a floor other than the ground floor would have to call the elevator to reach their respective floors. So, the ground floor should call the elevator way more frequently than the other floors. Cora meets her neighbor, Mason. He has 4 daughters, Hannah, Elle, Eve, and Anna. What pattern did he use to name them? His daughters have palindromic names. You can read them from left to right and from right to left, but they'll remain the same. Cora takes the elevator to the 13th floor where she lives. The elevator takes her to the desired floor. She comes out and freaks out right away. Why? Take a look at the mirror. It didn't reflect the number 13 correctly. 4 movers show up to help Cora with her boxes, but one of them is an imposter.
Hello.
Can you guess who? The third guy carries the only box that doesn't have Cora's name on it. Also, one of his arms is in a cast. He hid it under his gloves and sleeves. but Cora cannot be tricked so easily. The next day, Cora receives 4 welcome baskets from her neighbors. One of them isn't safe. Can you guess which one? The second basket looks delicious, but take a closer look. There are bugs instead of chocolate in these cookies. Yuck! Cora wants to hire a cleaner to take care of her apartment. She interviews 3 people. Sandra says she has 20 years of experience in this field. Harry is a student who needs extra money to pay his bills and buy food. And Bianca has recently moved from her parents' farm. She needs a job as soon as possible. Who's lying? Harry. Take a closer look. He's too transparent to be a real human. Ghosts don't need to pay bills and buy food. Liar.
Oh no.
There's a swimming pool on the roof of Cora's condo. She goes there and meets 3 neighbors in the shower. One of them is not from this planet. Can you guess who? The third lady is a visitor from outer space. She has 7 toes instead of 5. Also, she lacks a belly button, and it seems like the shower steam goes through her body. Cora comes back home and finds out that someone stole one of her expensive paintings and replaced it with a cheap copy.
What?
How did she know? The third painting has a slightly thinner frame than the others. That's because it's a fake. Cora decides to question her neighbors. She knocks on 2 doors just next to hers. Ashley and Megan live in separate apartments just next to Cora. These 2 ladies have partners, but one of them dates 3 people at once. Can you guess who? Ashley has 3 different cakes in her fridge, so she probably had 3 different guests recently. Cora wants to find the thief who stole her painting, so she calls the police. Officers examine the crime scene and arrest 3 suspects right away. Can you tell who's guilty by just looking at this picture? The thief left footprints of sneakers on the carpet next to the paintings. Only the first suspect has the matching shoes and size. The next morning, Cora goes hiking in the woods, and eventually she gets lost. There are 3 routes that she can take. One has animal footprints, the second one has human footprints, and the third route is along the river. Which path is the most reliable? Cora should choose the third route. Animals might be dangerous and people are not reliable, but the river will lead her to the city or a bigger body of water with a beach. In the evening, Cora goes to the local concert hall. One of these guys is a real magician. Can you guess who? The first guy is hiding a card under his sleeve. The second one makes his card levitate with the help of teeny tiny strings. But the third magician's hat levitates on its own. So he's the real one. Cora is watching an opera set in ancient Egypt, so the actors are dressed in appropriate costumes. After the show, Cora goes backstage to meet them. But one of these people is not an actor. This person is a time traveler from the past. Can you spot the imposter? All 4 people are dressed in ancient Egyptian costumes, so we should use the method of elimination. The first guy is using a smartphone, so he's probably an actor. The second lady has a modern manicure, so let's exclude her too. The fourth lady has a sports car tattoo on her leg, so she must be from this century as well. Therefore, the third guy is a time traveler. Cora arrives at the condo after the opera late at night. She enters the empty lobby and suddenly hears weird sounds from the basement. Cora goes there to check and finds herself in a secret, spooky dungeon. She finds a door with a combination lock which requires a 4-letter password. There's a mirror next to the door. Someone wrote the word "live" on its surface. Cora tries to enter this word, but it doesn't work. Can you help her crack the code? The mirror is part of the clue. Cora should reflect this word, and the password is evil. Finally, Cora opens the door. She sees a secret meeting taking place in a creepy hallway. All participants are dressed in robes and masks. They catch Cora and offer her a deal. If she manages to crack their riddles, she'll become part of the club. But if not, she'll remain locked in the dungeon forever. Here's the riddle. My neighbor makes mistakes. I get rid of them. Who am I? Can you help Cora out? I'm an eraser. Cora nails it, and now she's invited to go into the Hall of Mirrors alone. Cora sees a bunch of fun reflections of herself in the weird mirrors, but suddenly she freaks out and screams. Why is that? One of the reflections doesn't belong to Cora, so she's not alone in this room. Cora enters the next room and gets trapped in a spooky, abandoned public shower. She needs to choose one of these 3 doors to get out. There's a bunch of hungry rats behind the first door. There's an unknown glowing substance behind a second door. It may or may not be toxic. And there's a firewall behind the third door. Which way is more or less safe? Cora should choose the third door. Look around. She's in the shower, remember? She can use a bucket and water to put out the fire. Now Cora needs to crack this twisted circle maze to find the way out. Can you help her? Here's the correct route. Cora enters the next room and finds herself in a huge, chic dining room. There are 3 figures in robes and masks staring at her, but one of them is just a statue. Can you guess who? The first figure is breathing deeply. The second is blinking. You can see it through the mask. So the third figure must be the statue. People in masks give Cora 3 envelopes. She can choose one of them and take what's inside as a gift. One of them contains a $100 million diamond necklace. Another one, a pair of wool socks. And the third one, $10,000 in cash. Each envelope is signed. The first one says, "Necklace isn't here." The second one says, "Necklace is here." And the third one says, "Necklace might be here." Can you help Cora make the right choice? She should ignore the writings and simply weigh the envelopes. The desired one should be much heavier than the others.
Oh, yes.
Cora gets her necklace. The secret club members take off their robes and masks and turn on the lights. Cora recognizes her neighbors. That was just a welcoming prank. But still, something is odd here. Can you guess what? The lamp levitates.
Get ready to decipher the enigma.
3 women gathered at a table in a popular cafe. Their appearances seemed to reveal their financial status. 2 of them looked wealthy, while 1 woman didn't seem to be as well off. Look at these ladies very attentively and write in the comments which of them is not actually rich. The answer might not be as obvious as it seems. The woman wearing pearls is not trying to show off her wealth. She's content with her simple, sustainable life. This suggests that she's truly rich. The second woman has extremely expensive accessories. She doesn't need a car, since she will be picked up by her driver and notified of their arrival through her Apple Watch. But the third woman is not actually rich. She doesn't have any valuable possessions, and that money falling out of her bag is actually fake. Look at these 2 couples lounging on the beach. There are designer bags by their side, and they're dressed in fancy swimsuits. At first glance, both couples appear to be well off, but only one of them possesses true richness. If you have already figured out which couple it is, share your ideas in the comments. The couple on the left have some fake items. If you look at them attentively, you'll notice that the logos are written incorrectly. They're also pale. Can it be because they have to work all the time and go on vacation just once a year? As for the couple on the right, their seemingly simpler yet well-maintained belongings suggest that they value quality over extravagance. And their worn luggage speaks of their many trips. Plus, they have tanned skin, which means that they can vacation much more often. A suspected criminal, Doug the Evil Man, had been bouncing around various places in the world. Interpol had been trailing him, expecting to catch him with large amounts of unaccountable cash. When they finally got their hands on the criminal, they only found sunglasses, a wallet containing about $50 American, credit cards, and some foreign loose change. They had nothing to do but let the guy go. In reality, though, Man managed to sneak a fortune right before the authorities' eyes. If you have any ideas about how he did it, share them in the comments. These foreign coins were actually extremely rare and incredibly expensive ancient coins. Detective Stanwyck came to Mr. Pennyroll's house to investigate a crime. Mr. Pennyroll claimed he had been kidnapped by bank robbers when he had arrived to open up the bank where he was the assistant manager. They made him open the safe and give them the money. They told the man to drive them to his house. They wanted to get his wife's jewelry too. While they were on the way, one of the criminals moved the money into a paper bag and threw the bank bag out of the window. When the car stopped at the red light 2 blocks later, the banker managed to escape. The detective decided to follow the route back to the bank to look for clues. At one point, Mr. Pennyroll shouted that he saw the empty bank bag, and a few minutes later, he pointed at the red light where he managed to escape. When they arrived at the bank, Detective Stanwyck arrested Mr. Pennyroll for a false report. Have you noticed a problem with the banker's story? Then tell us in the comments below. While heading back to the bank, they should not have reached the money bag before they reached the corner where Mr. Pennyroll jumped out of the car. He supposedly did that after the criminal had tossed the bag out. If this story was true, the detective and banker would have passed the corner first and the money bag next on the way back to the bank. Now, there's a truly mysterious case for you. Chelsea walked up to a parked taxi, handed the taxi driver a $20 note, and walked away. Here are the things you need to know. She's not very good with directions. $20 is too big of a tip for giving directions. The girl also has a car of her own, and it's not broken. Can you solve this mystery faster than the other Brightsiders? Leave your answer in the comments. Chelsea was lost and paid the taxi driver to take her to her destination. She followed him in her own car. Look at this picture very attentively. Can you spot a thief and explain your choice in the comments below the video? It's the woman in the brown coat with white lapels. She stands out among the crowd, as everyone else is either wearing sleeveless or short-sleeved outfits. Stephen called the police to report that his valuables were missing. When the police arrived, the man told them he had gone on a camping trip alone. He just got there and set up his tent when it started raining heavily. He hurried to get some dry firewood and left his bag with his wallet and all the documents inside the tent. When he came back, everything was gone. The police officers didn't believe Stephen and fined him for making a false call. Have you figured out how they understood that the man was lying? Tell us in the comments. Stephen said he had set up the tent before it started to rain. But then, why is there a big puddle inside? Tom vanished at around 10 p.m. on Friday in the fall. A police officer questioned his 4 friends. She suspected that one of them had something to do with the guy's disappearance. She asked each of them what they had been doing at that time. Adam said he had been choosing an outfit for a date. Daniel was getting ready for a party that was going to take place at his apartment. Sophia said she had been relaxing by doing yoga before her night shift at work. And Jake was watching birds in the park. After questioning the suspects, the police officer arrested one of Tom's friends. If you know who she detained, write it in the comments. It was Jake. At 10 p.m. in the fall, it's too dark to see birds outside. Police officer James was called into a small hotel to investigate a mysterious jewelry disappearance. Emily had checked in the night before and put all her expensive diamonds in her hotel room safe. After she came back from lunch the next day, the jewelry was gone. James had 3 suspects. The receptionist said she had been out on her lunch break. The maid said another guest had checked out earlier that day, and she had been cleaning their room. Susan, another hotel guest, said that she had just woken up. One of these people is lying. If you figure out who it is, write your guess in the comments as fast as possible. It's Susan. She said she had just woken up, but look at her bed. The maid had already made it. Joan came home one evening and discovered that someone had robbed her house. When the police arrived, they went to question the neighbors. Victoria said that she had been visiting her friend who lived 2 blocks away. She came home a couple of minutes ago. Peter said that he had been ill. He only made a short trip to the pharmacy and stayed in bed after that. Nathan said that he and his wife had been preparing for a barbecue party with their friends. But it started raining heavily, and they had to cancel their plans. Help the police and write the name of the thief in the comments below. It was Victoria. It was raining, and she said she had just come home. But look! Her hair, clothes, and the umbrella, which is standing near the door, are absolutely dry. Tyler was going to his friend's place in the evening when a stranger in a black mask captured him. The next thing the guy knew, he was in a large room, locked in a cage. There were 3 levers in the wall next to the cage. If he pulled the first lever, he would let hungry lions into the cage. The second lever would flood the cage with water. And the third lever would activate a special mechanism that would make the top of the cage move down towards the bottom, crushing everyone and everything inside. Which lever should Tyler pull to survive? Share your choice in the comments. His only choice is the second lever. All the water will flow out through the bars of the cage.
3 wealthy businessmen complained to Detective Brooke. This week, an unknown criminal stole a car from each of them, and he left no traces. But Brooke figured out his pattern. She thinks the thief will soon commit new crimes. Mike, Colin, and Bill are at risk because they own very expensive cars. Whose car will the thief steal tonight? If you already know the answer, make sure to share it in the comments. Let's take a closer look at the order of the thefts. The colors of the cars match the colors of the rainbow: red, orange, and yellow. So Colin's green car will be the next target. Detective Brooke finds the criminal's garage and begins rummaging around. He has a secret door protected by a combination lock. There's a note with 4 images next to the door. Brooke thinks for a while, presses 4 numbers, and opens the door. What numbers did she press? If you nailed it right away, please let us know. The code is 2731. Each digit corresponds to the number of colors of the object in the picture. Brooke enters the secret room and sees 6 rings on the table. Try to memorize all the details, because you're going to need them later. Okay, now, can you find the rings that were not present in the original picture? Make sure to share your answer. Rings A, C, and F don't belong here. After a long day of work, Brooke is starving. She wants to grab something sweet, so she goes to the candy shop. Brooke has 3 options to choose from: cotton candy, a candy cane, or a candy apple. Which food is dangerous? Let us know in the comments. Take a closer look at the cotton candy. There's a tiny spider stuck inside. Yikes! As for the apple, it has a little worm inside. So Brooke should definitely buy the candy cane. Brooke is passing by the food court and spots 2 families. One of them is super rich, while the other one very broke. Can you guess who is who? Think carefully and feel free to leave your answer in the comment section below. Take a look at the second family. They don't eat this rotten food. The son is just taking pictures. Meanwhile, the first family shares 1 pizza and drinks water, which is usually free. And the mother's phone looks very outdated. Therefore, the super rich family is on the right. Brooke walks up to the diner and sees 6 different burgers in the window. Try to memorize them. You're going to need the details later. Now, let's take a look at the 9 images. Which of these burgers didn't appear in the initial picture? Give this video a thumbs up if you already know the answer. Burgers B, D, and E are all new. The next day, Detective Brooke receives a new mysterious case. Someone attacked Larry, the HR manager of a large international company. It happened about an hour ago. Brooke finds 3 suspects. The first one is Lily. She's an applicant who was a bit angry with Larry because he made her wait for ages. Lily stayed outside in the rain and probably caught a cold, but she says she didn't attack him. Kyle, the company's marketing director, attended meetings from early morning until lunchtime, so he claims he didn't see Larry at all. Jeff from the IT department tells Brooke that he rode his bike to a coffee shop to get his cappuccino. He returned just now. Who's the attacker? Hurry up to be the first to comment. Jeff. Both his bike and his clothes are dry and clean. How is that possible if it's raining? Jeff runs away. Detective Brooke starts chasing him. She ends up in a dusty basement. There are 3 tunnels leading outside. The first one is guarded by an invisible monster. This creature attacks anyone who dares to enter. The second tunnel is half flooded with poisoned water. Drinking it is fatal for any human. And the third tunnel is infested with mutant cockroaches. They can fly and bite people. Which way is more or less safe? Give this video a thumbs up if you already know the answer. She should choose the second tunnel. The water's only dangerous if you drink it, so Brooke can just walk through the tunnel with her mouth closed and be safe. The next morning, Detective Brooke enjoys a day off at the beach. Suddenly, she hears a quarrel taking place nearby. This lady claims that someone has stolen her phone. Brooke spots the thief right away. Can you spot them? This blonde lady stole her phone. She's taking selfies with her own phone, but there's another one hidden in her swimsuit. Busted! Hit the like button if you managed to crack this riddle. Brooke spots 6 parrots on a tree and takes a picture. She visits the bathroom and then returns to the same tree. Can you find the parrots that were not present in her picture? Parrots A, E, and F arrived just now. Was it difficult? Let us know in the comments. Detective Brooke receives an emergency call from work. There's a dangerous visitor from another planet hanging out at the beach. It can look like a human, so Brooke should be very careful. Can you help her spot anything suspicious? Don't forget to share your thoughts. This volleyball player has too many arms for a regular human. Detective Brooke is working on her laptop in a coffee shop. Oops, it's time to visit the bathroom. Brooke decides it's safe enough to leave her stuff unattended. But after going to the bathroom, she finds out that her backpack and her laptop are missing. Brooke runs outside and sees 3 elderly ladies with picnic baskets sitting in the park. She interrogates them, but the ladies swear they didn't notice anything suspicious. Miss Anderson has just joined her friends. Miss Smith is eating her sandwich and reading a newspaper, and Miss Gold is taking pictures of squirrels. But still, Detective Brooke arrests one of the ladies. Can you guess who? Hurry up to be the first to comment. Brooke's backpack was red, remember? There's a red strap hanging out of Miss Anderson's picnic basket. Ooh, busted. Detective Brooke comes across a poster with 6 animals: a cat, a camel, a cheetah, a chicken, a crocodile, and a pig. Which animal doesn't belong here? The pig. It's the only animal whose name doesn't start with the letter C. But if you have a different answer, let us know. Brooke receives a call from her best friend, Amanda. She suspects that her boyfriend, Will, has a secret from her. Amanda wants to access his laptop to investigate, but she doesn't know his password. Luckily, there's a hint note right on his desk. It says Apple, Man, and Dawn. Give this video a thumbs up if you crack this code. And the password is Amanda. Yep, her name is the code. Aww. Will was just preparing a surprise for Amanda's birthday. He took her on a romantic helicopter trip. But unfortunately, their vehicle broke down in the air, and they had to land on a tiny, uninhabited island. The guys can't call for help. Their cell phones and radio don't work. There are no trees on the island, only sand and rocks around them, so they can't make a smoke signal. Suddenly, Amanda notices a plane circling the sky, but unfortunately, it's flying too high and the pilot can't see them. Will comes up with a bright idea, and soon after, the plane picks them up. What did they do? Think carefully and share your ideas. They use rocks to spell out SOS on the sand. The plane takes Amanda and Will to the mainland, and now they need to take a bus to get home. Only one of these 4 buses will take them to their final destination. Can you guess which one? It's the second bus. Hit the like button if you nailed it. And if you want to train your thinking on a daily basis, don't forget to subscribe.
Mason is moving to a new town. On the way, he makes a stop at the local gas station. He wants to pay for gas and snacks, but his red leather wallet is missing. Mason interrogates 3 people standing nearby. Ashley says that she didn't touch Mason's stuff. Both of her hands were full of sandwiches. Lily says she was taking selfies for her social media. And the cashier, Xavier, said that he didn't notice any red wallets. Mason knows for sure who's the thief. What about you? Take a look at Ashley's sandwiches. She hid Mason's wallet between 2 pieces of bread. Mason exposes the thief and continues on his journey. He gets hungry and goes to a diner. But immediately, Mason feels something off about this place. Something's completely wrong with one of these 3 waiters. Which one? The lady on the left has wolf teeth, and she doesn't wear any badge on her uniform, so it makes sense to stay away from her. Mason arrives at the town late at night. He parks his car and looks around. Suddenly, Mason notices an unconscious lady on the ground. He calls the police and an ambulance. They arrive very quickly. Meanwhile, the lady comes to her senses, but she finds out that all her money is missing. The police have 3 suspects, Mason and 2 other pedestrians, Noah and Mike. Who's the thief? Take a look at the ground. There are 2 types of footsteps leading to the place where the lady is lying. One of them belongs to her, and the other one was left by Mason. There are 2 parallel straight lines left by a wheelchair. So the thief must be Mike. The next day, Mason meets his neighbors.
Hello.
It's an elderly couple, Ralph and Glenda. They have just finished building a fancy new house. The house looks beautiful, and they invite their 3 grandchildren over to have a look at their work. It takes 1 day for one guy and 2 girls to break several windows, knock down the fence, remove the decorations, and ruin the roof. But the retired couple doesn't mind. They just smile looking at the teenagers. Can you figure out why? The grandparents made a gingerbread house and invited their grandchildren to enjoy it. Dinner time. Mason enters a local restaurant. 2 tables are occupied, but this is not a regular boring restaurant. One of these families belongs to the mafia. Can you guess which one? Take a closer look at the second family. The daughter holds a teddy bear that's stuffed with dollars. Mason decides to go to another place instead. He takes a look at these 2 tables and spots the mafia family right away. What about you? It's the first family. The father has a red laser dot at the level of his heart. A sniper is aiming at him. Mason switches restaurants again. 2 tables are occupied by innocent-looking families. Yet again, one of these groups belongs to the mafia. Can you guess which one? Take a look at the second table. The father is hiding a gold bar in his menu.
Oh.
The next morning, Mason goes to check out the local pool. Can you spot an undercover cop among these people? This guy has a suspicious earphone in his ear. Why would he need it while swimming? Mason is terrible at packing. Today, he's going camping in the forest. Can you help him pack his stuff? Take a look at his bag and spot all the useless items. Oh, look! He has an electric hairdryer, but there's no electricity in the forest, so he can definitely leave it at home. Mason and his friend Bennett go hiking in the local forest. On the way, they meet 2 ladies, Anna and Alice. They hang out together, and both guys fall in love with Anna. They want to take her on a date. So the guys secretly ask Alice which of them Anna likes more. Alice doesn't want to share her bestie's secrets, but she gives the guys a hint. Anna loves pizza, but she can't stand burgers. She likes to go to the pool, but she never goes to the gym. Her favorite animal is the llama, but she's afraid of zebras. Which one of these guys does Anna like? Alice wanted to give the guys a clue, so we have to look for some patterns in her words. All the things Anna likes have double letters. Bennett has 2 double letters in his name, so he must be Anna's crush. The guys keep on hiking. Suddenly, they see a beautiful large apple tree growing on a cliff. If a powerful wind blows towards the land, where will the apples fall? In any case, they'll fall down. Alice needs to leave for the city, but Mason, Bennett, and Anna decide to spend the night in the wild. The next day, they wake up in a terrible trap. They're hanging upside down in the air with their legs tied. There's a bunch of venomous snakes on the ground under Mason. There's fire and hot coals under Anna, and dangerous scorpions are crawling under Bennett. How can the guys survive? Can you see that black cloud with lightning? It's gonna start raining soon. The rainwater will put out the fire under Anna. This lady has a knife, so she can cut the rope and then help the others.
Yes!
The guys escape, but they get lost in the forest. It gets dark. They're wandering around and come across a creepy cabin. It belongs to a witch. She says the guys must solve a riddle if they want to escape from her land. The witch writes a number. There are 2 special things about it. What are they? First, this number contains all existing digits. Second, they're put in alphabetical order.
Oh.
Mason and his friends return to the town. Meanwhile, someone robbed the local museum and stole the most valuable painting.
Oh no.
A detective investigates the crime scene and finds the thief right away. However, when asked to give it back, the criminal provides the police with 3 copies of the same painting. He refuses to tell which one is original. Can you find the real masterpiece? Each painting has a different frame, but only one of them is perfectly similar to the other frames hanging in the museum. And since this museum uses the same style of frames, this painting should be the original. Mason gets a new job in a small company. Only 4 people work with him. One day, Mason comes to the office and he doesn't find his favorite slippers. Mason always puts them on while working. He searches everywhere and finally spots them on the roof of the building. Mason is furious. He questions his coworkers. Bill says, "I don't even know where you keep your slippers." Phil says,
I'm terrified of heights. I have never climbed up there.
Mara says, "I'm wearing high heels today. I can hardly walk in them." And Ella says, "I respect you too much to prank you, sir." One of them is lying. Who? It's Phil. He said he was afraid of heights, but take a look at the photo on his table. He's skydiving with a parachute. Liar. After work, Mason returns to his condo. He enters the elevator with 3 people. One of them is a police officer working undercover. Can you guess who? Take a look at this old lady's outfit. She has a tiny hidden video camera in her hat. Mason enters his apartment. Oh no! Someone broke the lock and stole his precious golden cup. Mason calls the police and they question 3 neighbors. George was painting his living room all day. He listened to loud music so he couldn't hear anything. Bella was walking with her boyfriend all day long. They've just returned home. And Aaron was sick, so he only went out once that day to take out his trash. He heard weird noises from Mason's apartment. Who's lying? George. His living room doesn't look freshly painted.
Camila is packing her bags for her epic trip to Hawaii. She'll be staying in an all-inclusive spa hotel. Is there anything she won't need? This package of coffee beans doesn't belong here. You don't have to make your own coffee at an all-inclusive hotel. Camila arrives at the airport and meets Noah. He's traveling with his cat, Fluffy. Camila asks Noah how old the cat is. He replies with a riddle. In 2 years, Fluffy will be twice as old as she was 5 years ago. Can you figure out how old the animal is? Fluffy is 12 years old. On the plane, Camila sits next to Kai and Mia. After takeoff, the flight attendant brings them identical lunchboxes. Camila leaves for the toilet. Then she returns and finds out that her bun is gone. One of her neighbors stole it. Can you guess who? Kai has an untouched bun in his lunchbox, but there's another hidden up his sleeve. Shame on you, Kai. Camila lands in Hawaii and arrives at her hotel. There are 3 ladies in the lobby. 2 of them are millionaires. Can you spot the one who's not? The second lady's phone is too outdated, so she can't be super rich. Camila goes to the swimming pool area and meets 2 couples. One of them has 3 sons. Can you guess which couple? The first one. Take a look at his tattoos. There are 3 suns on his hand. Each sun symbolizes one of his sons. Time to check out the spa. Camila looks out the window and spots these 2 scenes. One of the clients is in danger. Can you guess who? Although it looks weird, there's nothing wrong with the first scene. It's just the skin reacting to the heat. But take a look at the second scene. The size of the needles is too big. They should be way smaller. Camila makes an appointment for a massage. She can be serviced by one of these 3 employees, but one of them is not a safe choice. Can you figure out who? The third lady is dangerous. Her nails are too long and sharp to perform a massage. The massage session is over. Camila goes to the pedicure room. She sees 3 innocent-looking clients chatting and laughing, but one of them is a werewolf. Can you guess who? It's the second lady. Take a look at her glowing wolf eyes. Ooh. The pedicure is done. It's time to check out the sauna. Camila leaves her expensive slippers on the porch and enters the hot space. 5 minutes later, she begins to feel that it's time to leave. Oh no! Someone stole her slippers. Camila questions 3 ladies nearby. Bianca says that she spent the last 30 minutes inside the sauna, so she couldn't see what was going on outside. Kelly is barefoot, but she swears that she didn't touch Camila's stuff. And Nina says she's too squeamish to touch other people's shoes. Who's lying? Bianca. Take a look at the sign. Guests are not allowed to spend more than 15 minutes in the sauna, so her story is fake. Camila goes to the shower area, but she's facing another prank. Someone steals her towel while she's bathing. Camila questions 3 people. Kelly says she was blow-drying her hair, so she didn't hear or see anything. Nina says she was on the phone with her boyfriend, and she didn't have time to steal other people's clothes. And Cindy is a cleaning lady. She was washing the floors, and she didn't touch the guest stuff. So, who's lying? Kelly's story is fake. Her hair isn't dry. In the evening, Camila goes to the local restaurant. Suddenly, she spots a curious family in the dining area. One of these guys is a real ghost. Can you figure out who? This spooky guy has a transparent arm. Surprisingly, Camila meets her college friends who are vacationing in the same hotel. They haven't seen each other for 10 years. So the guys throw a fancy private party. Camila has to make a phone call. She walks outside in the middle of the party. In a couple of minutes, she comes back and sees her friend Mike lying unconscious on the floor. He has a weird mark on his neck. It looks like a vampire's bite. One of Camila's college fellows must have turned into a vampire. The next day, she invites everyone for a beach picnic to talk about Mike. How can Camila figure out the vampire? She invited her friends to the beach during the daytime. The one who would refuse to go must be the vampire. Camila is hanging out on the beach. She takes a pretty picture, and then another one. She looks at the resulting shots and spots 5 differences. Can you also see them? Here they are. Camila builds a beautiful sandcastle. Suddenly, she smells a fresh smoothie from the beach cafe. She goes there to get a drink. 5 minutes later, Camila returns to her castle spot. Oh no, someone ruined it. Camila questions 3 people nearby. Bill says he was scrolling his phone, so he didn't look around. Rachel was taking pictures of her daughter Anna. She shows Camila the pictures as evidence. And Anna confirms Rachel's words. They were too busy taking pictures. After hearing their stories, Camila knows for sure who's guilty. What about you? Take a closer look at Rachel's pictures. Anna stands in the same place where the castle used to be. She destroyed it with her surfboard. Camila takes a walk on the beach and spots a beautiful wedding ceremony. Can you figure out which one of these ladies is his wife? It's the first lady. They have identical tattoos. In the hotel restaurant, Camila spots another touching scene. 2 guys are proposing to one lady, and she accepts one of their proposals. Can you figure out her new fiancé? It's the first guy. Take a look at the wall poster. The second guy is a runaway criminal. Camila returns to her room and finds a huge basket with flowers and candies. There's also a note with the following text. Camila questions 3 possible witnesses. Her neighbor Kyle says that he spent all day by the pool. Andy, the janitor, says he cleaned her room in the morning and he didn't notice any gift baskets. Diego, the manager, says he didn't get any special deliveries for her room. Can you help Camila figure out her secret admirer? It's Kyle. If we read this text backwards, we'll get the following message. Your secret admirer is Kyle. Well, that's a clue. Kyle invites Camila on a date to a rooftop restaurant. The view is beautiful, so she takes 2 pictures. Can you spot 5 differences between them? One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There you go. Kyle and Camila look at the menu and choose the same dish, spaghetti carbonara. Soon, the guys get their food and begin to eat. Suddenly, Kyle gets sick and faints, but Camila feels fine. But they ate the same dish. Can you explain this mystery? The poison was in the black pepper. Kyle added it to his spaghetti, but Camila didn't. That's why she feels fine. The next day, Camila visits Kyle in the hospital. She comes across these 2 individual patients. Can you guess which of them is richer? The second patient. He has an air conditioner, Wi-Fi, and an expensive laptop in his ward. What about these 2 patients? Can you guess who's richer? The First Lady has a couple of really expensive brands on her shelf. Therefore, she's the rich one. Camila continues wandering around the hospital and finds a spooky basement. Can you spot anything odd here? This place must be haunted. Look at this old mop. It moves on its own. She finds a door with a combination lock. Luckily, there's also a note with a hint. Camila tries to enter this code, but it doesn't work. She needs a 6-digit combination. Can you help her crack this code? Camila should literally enter 2831 and 26, and now she can make her great escape. Hey there, kiddo. Time to shake the rust off your magnifying glass and put on your detective hat. Yeah, you look good in it, trust me. Ready? Let's go. Luke took part in a scientific experiment, but something went wrong. He ended up in a place where there was nothing but 3 portals. One of them led to a polar desert in Antarctica. The second one opened into a volcanic crater filled with molten lava. And behind the third portal, there was the dinosaur age, with huge diplodocuses roaming around. Which portal should the man choose? Luke would freeze in no time in a polar desert. Molten lava isn't even an option. But diplodocuses are totally harmless to people. They only eat plants. Luke just needs to stay out of their way. Martin was playing tennis with his friend David. At one point, he hit the ball a little bit too hard. The ball flew into the air and fell down a hollow fence post. The post was quite narrow, and the ball barely fit there, but still, it got to the very bottom. Try as he might, Martin couldn't get the ball out of the pipe. Luckily, David had an idea. In no time, the guy helped Martin get the ball back. How did he do it? David used a water hose lying nearby. He filled the pipe with water, and the ball floated up. Once, a prison guard accidentally overheard very disturbing rumors. Someone was planning a prison break. The guard watched all the footage from the surveillance cameras and discovered that 2 women had been behaving suspiciously. One of them was a former bodybuilder, muscular with short hair and covered in tattoos. The other was quiet and reserved. She preferred to spend time on her own. After watching the video several times, the guard managed to figure out which woman was planning to escape. Can you do the same? It's the second prisoner. If you look attentively, you'll notice a file in her bun. She can use it to cut through the metal bars. Rachel called the police early in the morning. When they arrived, she told the officers her story. "I work in a museum. Yesterday, I took home several ancient books. I wanted to do some research, but then a blackout happened. I lit a couple of candles and continued my work. Suddenly, I heard the doorbell ring. When I opened the door, someone in a black mask hit me on the head. When I recovered, the books were gone." Detective Anderson arrested the woman for misreporting. Why? If there had been a blackout, the doorbell wouldn't have been working. Look at these photos. One of them is photoshopped. Can you figure out which one? It's the picture in the middle. The kite is moving in the wrong direction. If the photo was real, the kite would be moving along with the wind in the same direction as the flag. Look at these guys. Who is actually poor? The guy in the blue shirt. Both men are looking into the mirror, but even though in the mirror the guy on the left is a seemingly successful businessman, in reality he's poor. A police officer was patrolling the streets on a winter evening. Suddenly, she saw a person in a black mask sneaking out of a house through the window, who was carrying 2 large bags. The officer realized it was a burglar. She ran after the criminal, but they turned the corner and disappeared. The officer understood the criminal had hidden in one of these houses. But which one? It can't be the house on the left. As you see, there are too many people inside. There are no footprints in the snow leading to the house on the right. It means no one has been there for quite some time, which leaves us with the house in the middle. There are 4 cups on the counter, all of them upturned and hiding the same number of sweets underneath. Near each of the cups, there is a sign that says how many sweets are under it. The signs are 5 or 6, 7 or 8, 6 or 7, and 7 or 5. Only one of these signs is correct. How many sweets are there under each cup? Since only one sign is correct, the right number can't appear twice. Otherwise, more than one sign would be correct. It means that there are 8 sweets under each cup. Mark's math teacher was very displeased with how many classes the guy had missed, but he decided to give the student one last chance. If you solve this riddle, I won't inform your parents. You need to write 45 only using the number 4. How can Mark do it? Like this. 44 divided by 44 plus 44. During which month do people sleep the least? During February. It only has 28 or sometimes 29 days. After a bank had been robbed, the police found a bag with money in the park. It was lying among cacti. The police officers arrested 3 suspects. It didn't take long to figure out who the bank robber was. Do you know who it is? It's the man on the left. He's the only one with some scratches. They must have been left by the cacti. You have 5 pieces of a chain, and each of them is made up of 3 links. You have to make a long chain out of these 5 pieces. Welding an open link will cost you $3, and breaking a link open is $1. Can you make a long chain if you only have $15? First, take one piece of chain and break all of its 3 links open. That'll cost you $3. Then link the remaining 4 pieces of the chain with these open links. Welding these links will cost you another $9. In total, you'll only pay $12. Thomas was a traveler who needed to get to town X. Sometime into his journey, he reached a fork in the road. He didn't know which road to pick. Only one way led to the town. Luckily, he saw 2 men standing by. The problem was that one of them always lied, and the other one always told the truth. But Thomas didn't know who was who. Even worse, the men were quite unfriendly and agreed to answer only one question. So, which question should it be? The only way to find out the right road is to ask the men, If I asked the person standing next to you which road led to Town X, what would his answer be? The liar will point in the wrong direction. The man who always tells the truth will also point in the same wrong direction. This way, Thomas will just need to choose the other road. You're going home in the evening. At one point, you turn the corner and everything goes black. When you come to your senses, you find yourself in a locked room. Next to the door, there's a computer with a keyboard. On the screen, there's a riddle. You have to type the correct answer and the door will open. The riddle sounds like this. It makes two people out of one. What is it? Can you figure out the answer? The correct answer is a mirror. Joanna made a bet with her friends. She had to go to a deserted house in the middle of their town at night. No one lived there, and the house was supposed to be demolished soon. But rumor had it a mad scientist used that building as his lab. It was about 3 a.m. when the girls saw a large, gloomy building with its entrance door slightly ajar. She entered and saw a huge, dark hallway. Suddenly, someone switched on the light, and Joanna saw a bizarre-looking man in a lab coat. He stood there and stared at her for a few seconds before saying, "Good morning, I'm Dr. Clark." "But you aren't real," Joanna exclaimed. How did the girl figure it out? Even though the scientist had a reflection in the mirror, he didn't cast a shadow. It was a hologram.
Hey Sherlocks, I really need your help here. So, take out your magnifying glasses and join me on this detective chase. Look at this image. What's wrong here? These guys seem to be playing tennis, but they're using a tiny football. Now how about these people? One of them is from the future. Can you figure out who it is? Be very attentive. Right, it's this guy. He's got a smartphone in his pocket. This looks like a regular picnic in the park, but one of these people is a time traveler. Who is it? It's the guy with a USB port in his arm. A sailor has a piece of fabric that is 16 feet long. He cuts 2 feet of this fabric per day. How many days will he need to cut the whole cloth? Your first answer might have been 8 days, but in fact, the sailor will only need 7 days. The last remaining piece of fabric will be 2 feet long, and the sailor won't need to cut it. Adam's car has broken down right in the middle of a deserted forest road. But the worst thing? It's winter. Snowdrifts are huge, and the wind is freezing cold. Adam has to get to the nearest town, and fast. But if he follows the first path, he'll have to deal with hungry wolves. The second one goes through an area inhabited by bears. And if he takes the third road, he'll have to cross a river covered with thin ice. Which is the safest way? Adam should sneak through the bear's territory. These animals sleep in winter. Look at this picture. Which cage, in your opinion, is the safest? It's the last one. Even though a scorpion sting is painful, it's rarely life-threatening. The next tricky brain teaser for you. Can you figure out who has stolen her computer? It's definitely the girl on the right. Look at the strange shape her hoodie has taken. One of these girls is a wanted criminal. But which one? It's the one with dark hair. She has the same mole as the girl in the photo. Now there is something terribly wrong in this image. Can you figure out what it is? Look at that snowdrift near the cactus on the right. It's a desert. What is a snowdrift doing there? Look at these people and try to figure out who will divorce soon. Most likely, it will be the couple on the right. Have you noticed that the woman has secretly given a note with her phone number to the bartender? After a natural disaster, there was a blackout in Sam's town. Some criminals used darkness to kidnap the guy for ransom. The building where he was kept had 3 doors. Sam could use one of them to escape. But the first door hid a trap that would crush anyone as soon as they entered. Behind the second door, there were chainsaws that could cut anything into pieces in no time. The flesh-eating acid was bubbling behind the third door. Which door should Sam choose? Chainsaws can't harm the guy because there's no electricity in the town, remember? Liza was a millionaire's daughter. She was fed up with her father trying to control her life, so she decided to run away from home. She took some money and the most discreet car she could find in the garage and left. The girl knew her father would send his people to bring her back. That's why she never stayed in one hotel for more than one night. One day, she found herself in a small town. It was getting dark, and she had no choice but to stop at the first hotel she saw. The receptionist said her room number was 710 and offered to show her where it was. Liza immediately grabbed her bag, ran out of the hotel, jumped in the car, and sped away. Why? The first digit of a hotel room number usually means the floor it's on. Room 710 is supposed to be on the 7th floor. But the hotel has only 2 floors. This must be a trap. A tourist who didn't speak English came up to the ticket counter at a New York subway station. One ticket cost 50 cents, and the man handed the ticketing clerk $1. The woman gave the tourist 2 tickets without even asking how many he needed. How did she know? The tourist gave her 4 quarters, and she immediately realized that if he needed just 1 ticket, he would have just given her 2 quarters. Ice melts when you heat it, but if you heat me, I'll become solid. Can you figure out what I am? I'm an egg. I'm weightless, but you can see me. And if you put me in a water bottle, it will become much lighter. What am I? Right you are. I'm a hole. After having had a fight with a powerful wizard, Louisa found herself trapped in a medieval castle, far away from civilization. She couldn't escape. Jumping out of the window was out of the question because it was too high above the ground. And the only tree growing next to that window wasn't sturdy enough for the girl to use it to climb down. At the same time, in the room where Louisa was locked, there were 3 doors. One of them could lead the girl to freedom, but behind the first door, a fire was raging. The second door held back hundreds of venomous snakes. And behind the third door, there was a maze filled with animal traps. Which door should Louisa choose to escape? Louisa should break off a tree branch, turn it into a torch by lighting it in the first room, and then going through the maze. It won't be dark anymore, and the girl will easily avoid the traps. Now, your task is to crack a few rebus puzzles. Be very attentive and try to think outside the box. What does this mean? Right, that's Big Sister. How about this rebus puzzle? The correct answer is right between the eyes. Look at this one. That's good afternoon. What can you fill if your hands are empty? Well, this is confusing. How can I fill anything if there's nothing in my hands? You'll probably be able to figure it out. And the correct answer is gloves, or mittens if that's what you prefer. Mr. Wilson's company had some financial problems. One day, the man called the police. He said someone had broken into his office. "They stole my safe with all the money I had." The police officers who came to investigate this case asked the man why he was so sure that there had been several thieves. "Well, my safe was too heavy for one person to carry." The police instantly realized Mr. Wilson was lying. How? If the safe had been indeed so heavy, it would have left some dents on the carpet, but the floor covering is perfectly smooth. Detective Martin was choosing a diamond ring for his fiancée when a man in a black mask ran into the jewelry store. He made all the visitors lie on the floor and took the most expensive jewelry and money. After that, Detective Martin saw the man get on a red motorbike and speed away. The detective jumped into his car and set off on a chase. Soon, he came to a crossroads. Where should he go now? Suddenly, Martin saw a car coming from the opposite direction. He asked the driver if he'd seen the red bike. "No, I've only seen a silver convertible." Then, the detective saw a gray car approach from the left. The woman inside said she hadn't seen the red bike, but she had seen a yellow bike and a group of cyclists. And the man who appeared from the right told Detective Martin he'd only noticed a large blue truck. Where is the robber?
Yeah.
The motorbike can only be inside the blue truck.
Are you ready for a new detective journey? Then buckle your seatbelts and let's go. Mary was walking through the park when she spotted a hungry kitten. The woman decided to share her snack with the animal. Unfortunately, there was a stream between her and the kitty. She squatted down to attract the cat's attention and showed it the food. The animal was next to her in no time. There was no bridge over the stream, and still, the cat wasn't wet. How is it possible? It happened in the winter and the stream was frozen. In a lake, there is a patch of lily pads. Every day, the patch doubles in size. If it takes 48 days for the patch to cover the entire lake, how long will it take for the patch to cover half the lake? The patch doubles in size every day. So on the 47th day, the patch will be half the size it is on the 48th day. You are in a place called Bobby's World, and there is only one law there. There is a mirror, but no reflection. There is pizza with cheese, but not with ham. There is pepper, but no salt. There is a door, yet no entrance or exit. What is the law in this strange world? Everything in Bobby's world must contain double letters in its name. Kenneth was hungry. He found a nice diner that served burgers and bought one. After a waiter brought him his order, Kenneth went to the bathroom to wash his hands. But when he came back, his burger was gone. The guy looked around the diner and understood who had taken his lunch. Can you figure it out? It's the young woman with a dog sitting at her feet and sniffing the air. If she was just drinking coffee, which is what she's pretending to do, the dog wouldn't be so interested in her. Look at these two guys. One is big and burly, and the other is short and thin. They're in a cafe, drinking identical drinks. The shorter one gulps his drink down in one go and leaves. The other man sips his drink slowly. Then he falls to the floor and is taken to a hospital. Can you explain why it happened if they had the same drinks? The drinks contained poisoned ice cubes. The man who enjoyed his drink gave these ice cubes time to melt and release the poison, while the other man didn't. An Arab sheikh told his two sons that they had to race their camels to a distant city to see who would inherit his fortune. The one whose camel arrived last would win. After wandering aimlessly for days, the brothers asked a wise man for advice. After listening to his opinion, they jumped on the camels and raced as fast as they could to their destination. What did the man tell them? The wise man told them to switch their camels. Look at these two guys. They're wearing similar clothes, both holding coffee cups, and in general, seem to be perfectly okay. But one of them is a werewolf in disguise. Which one? Look at the guy on the right. There are strange marks on the rim of his cup. Were they left by his fangs? Also, his pupils are a bit elongated. And there is a paw print design on the plastic bag he's holding. Is it a special store for werewolves? A rich entrepreneur disappeared from his office. The only thing he left behind was a note with the numbers 6, 4, 9, 10, and 11, and a calendar. The police have 5 suspects. All of them, the businessman's acquaintances. James, Kevin, Carol, Jason, and Laura. Who knows something about the man's disappearance? Jason. The numbers mean months of the year, and the first letters of these months make up his name, Jason. A furious traveler at the airport claimed the contents of his baggage had disappeared. When I got my suitcase, it was empty. I want you to compensate for what I've lost. After checking the passenger's info, airport security found out that he had indeed left London with a heavy suitcase, and now his bag was empty and a bit wet. The whole situation was suspicious. Can you figure out what happened? The passenger left London with a suitcase full of ice. During the flight, the ice melted, and the man demanded compensation for the lost belongings. Matthew bought a new smartphone and a phone case. He paid $510. The gadget cost $500 more than the case. How much did Matthew pay for the phone? He paid $505. Last night, on a full moon, several people disappeared in the city. Locals believe that the kidnapper was a werewolf, and you are invited to investigate this case. There are 3 suspects, Jack, Levi, and Luke, but all of them have alibis. Jack was walking with his girlfriend near the river. Levi was choosing a silver ring for himself in the mall. And Luke, who is a museum guard, had a night shift at work. Which guy is guilty? Jack was walking under a full moon and didn't turn into a werewolf. Levi wasn't afraid to put on silver rings. The werewolf and potential kidnapper is Luke. Detective Black's assistant, Josh, was late for work. When he arrived, he told his boss the following story. I was driving along the highway when I saw an unconscious man lying on the left side of the road. I picked him up and took him to the nearest hospital. Finally, he came to his senses. He told me he had been pushed out of a moving vehicle, but the bag with all his money and documents was left inside. Strangely, Detective Black told Josh that the man had lied to him. How did he figure it out? If the man had indeed been pushed out of the car, he would have been lying on the right side of the road, not the left one. Criminals caught 3 men and locked them in a basement with only one window, high above the floor. Oh, no. The men decided that at least one of them needed to escape and warned the police. The men stood on each other's shoulders, but the one on the top still couldn't reach the window. But then they did something, and one of them managed to escape. Can you figure out what they did? The tallest of them climbed on the top, and since, proportionally, this man also had longer arms, he managed to reach the window. You find yourself in a room with no windows. There are 3 doors leading out of the room. Suddenly, a big screen on the wall lights up. You read, "Behind each of these doors there is some danger. The first door leads to a scorching hot desert. Several steps, and the sun will burn you. Behind the second door, there is a hungry alligator that hasn't eaten for a year. And the third door hides a pool with icy water. To get to freedom, you'll have to swim across it. Which door should you choose to survive?" Alligators can indeed go without food for up to 3 years, which means that the creature behind the second door is hungry and dangerous. Freezing water can cause cold shock in an unprepared swimmer. That's why you should choose the first door. You just need to wait for the sun to go down and walk through the desert.
Oh, yes.
James came to a cafe to drink coffee. But when a waitress brought him a cup, the man found a fly in his drink. He called the waitress and told her to bring him another coffee. She did. But when James took a sip from his cup, he got really angry and asked to call a manager. He complained that the waitress had brought him the same coffee. How did he understand it? The new coffee was already sweet because James had already put sugar in his first cup before finding the fly.
Jeremiah is on the run from the police. He stole several large gold bars from the bank. He has 3 gold bars in his arms, each weighing 20 pounds. In fact, there's a way for him to get away with that. All he needs to do is to cross a bridge. But here's the kicker. The bridge can only support 200 pounds. The 3 bars of gold weigh 60 pounds, and Jeremiah weighs 160 pounds. How can he cross the bridge without getting rid of any of the bars? Seems like to do so, one of the bars should literally float in the air. To make it happen, Jeremiah must juggle them. This way, only 2 bars will be acting on the bridge, while the third one will be airborne. Voila! 160 plus 20 plus 20 equals 200. So the bridge isn't likely to let Jeremiah down. You're playing dodgeball with 2 other people, Arnie and Preston. You're standing in a triangle, and you all take turns throwing a ball at one of the others of your choosing until only one person is remaining. You have a 30% chance of hitting someone you aim at. Arnie has a 50% chance, and Preston a 100% chance. Yeah, this guy never misses. If you hit somebody, they are out and no longer get a turn. If the order of throwing is you, Arnie, and then Preston, what should you do to have the best chance of winning? First, you gotta miss the first time on purpose. If you try to hit Arnie and you do hit him, then Preston goes next and he will 100% hit you, and you will lose for sure. If you aim at Preston and hit him, then Arnie will go for you. If you miss on your first turn, Arnie will go for Preston for sure because he's a stronger player. If he hits him, then it's just you and Arnie, but you are going first. If he misses, then Preston will hit Arnie, and it will be just you and Preston. But again, in this case, you are going first. It will be a 30% chance, but this way, you're in the finals. A man wants to enter an exclusive club, but he doesn't know the password. Another man walks to the door, and the doorman says 12. The man says 6, and is let in. Another man walks up, and the doorman says 6. The man says 3, and is let in. Thinking he has heard enough, he walks up to the door, and the doorman says 10. He says 5, and he isn't let in. What should he have said? He should have said how many letters were in the number he said. A thief enters a high-end boutique and frightens the shop assistant, forcing him to open the safe. The shop assistant says, "The code for the safe is different every day, and if you try to do anything to me, you'll never get the code." But the thief manages to guess the code on his own. How did he do it? That thief was smart. The code is different. The shop assistant told him this. A woman is found alone in the middle of the desert. She's surrounded by a pile of debris and a wrecked plane. There are no other signs of life in the area. Despite the crash, the woman is alive and well. Nothing serious happened to her, and she appears to be in good health. How did she survive? Look closer. The woman wasn't on the plane when it crashed. She survived by jumping out of the airplane with a parachute before it crashed. Two fathers and their two sons go fishing together. They each catch one fish to take home with them. They do not lose any fish, and yet when they get home, they only have 3 fish. How can this happen? There are just 3 people: a grandfather, his son, and his grandson. A super wealthy businessman, Mr. Ben Swift, was taken and left locked up all alone in a dark room. His phone almost ran out of charge, so he can write only one message. He knows that someone might spy on his phone, so he decided to write a message with a code to a high school friend, John Smith, who has a detective agency. He remembered that in high school, they would cipher messages to each other, shifting one letter to the right each time they needed to write a secret code. So, check this out. Can you guess what it means? It's not gibberish. The message is, "It was my accountant." You were wandering in the jungle, and all of a sudden, you saw a magnificent antique castle. You enter it and see its inhabitants. It's kind of hard to say if they're friendly or not, but hey, look, they just fetched you some snacks. Still, you can tell from their grins that these snacks must be a trap for you. You can't say no to them and need to choose something to eat. There are 4 muffins before you, all looking yummy, and your mouth is watering. One of the dwellers, who seems to be their leader, tells you that the first muffin has some fermented cabbage inside. The second one is swarming with live ants. The third one has mud instead of chocolate cream, and the fourth one has ackee fruit inside. So, which dessert would you opt for? A muffin with fermented cabbage may sound weird and not dessert-like, but it's safe. You've tried fermented cabbage, also known as kimchi, before, and you loved it. For those who love to risk, the fourth one could be good to go too. Aki fruit is delicious when cooked properly, but you weren't sure if the dwellers took care of cooking it well. As for ants and mud muffins, I'd pass on them for sure. Mary is a nail technician. Her services are free to anyone who wants to set up an appointment with her. However, most people still end up paying here. How so? Mary only does one hand for free, so most people who come to get her services end up paying the full price. They don't really want to look bizarre with the nails done only on one hand. Jocelyn went grocery shopping and bought a lot of milk, yogurts, meat, and cheese. When she came back home, she realized she had nowhere to store all these products, as her fridge was already full. How can she save all the food that she bought? Jocelyn needs to order stuff in her fridge. Look, here's a pack of rice, some chips, and even cookies. These products don't need to be stored in the fridge. Once she takes it all out of the fridge, she'll have enough space to store dairy products and meat. Phil's teacher is a great person, but like many other people, he has some oddities. He would never let Phil go home until he solves one of his tricky riddles. This time, the riddle is, how many apples in total are there on a pine if there are 5 apples on each branch and there are 8 branches on the tree?
Uh-oh.
Okay, this one was easy. There are no apples on a pine. There are cones. Poor Kathy lived with a stepmother and 3 wicked stepsisters. Sounds familiar. Her dream was to go to a lit party she's been waiting for all year long. Her stepmother, Evelyn, never let Kathy go anywhere. This time, Evelyn decided to let Kathy go when she has finished all the tasks given by Evelyn. The stepmother asked Kathy to bring her some water, but she gave her a colander to carry water in. How can Kathy bring the water if she has nothing but a colander? Kathy needs to freeze some water and put it in the colander. It takes some time to melt, but when Evelyn gets that colander full of ice, technically, she'll have a colander full of water. Hey Kathy, make sure to be back by midnight. You need a ride?
Harry uploads a dating app, hoping to find a girlfriend. He likes these 3 ladies, but 2 of them are not single. Can you guess who? The second lady has 2 shampoos on a bathroom shelf. One for her curly hair and one shampoo for male hair and beards. So she's probably living with her husband. And the third lady is wearing a necklace in the shape of half a heart. The second half probably belongs to her boyfriend. So only the first lady is single. Early in the morning, Harry goes to the local park for a workout. He sees these 3 runners on the way. Can you decide who's faster? The second one. What about these cyclists? Who's the fastest? The third one. After the workout, Harry enters his favorite cafe and sees a lot of people. All the tables are occupied, but one person already finished eating. Can you guess who? this guy. There's money on his table. Harry looks around the cafe and sees a crying woman. Can you guess why she's so upset? She's crying because her friend is pulling her hair. Harry is flying business class to another city. There are 4 women in the cabin. One of them is smuggling gold. Can you guess who? The 4th one. Her belly is unnaturally square. So he goes to the park and gets attacked by a crowd of zombies. Harry is terrified. He begins to run away. There are 3 possible routes in front of him, but only one of these routes will actually take him to a shelter. Can you help Harry find the correct way? Route A doesn't look simple, but it's the only way out. Harry is visiting an engagement party. His brother Kevin proposes to his girlfriend Bella with a fancy diamond ring. And she says yes. The party goes well, but suddenly, the lights turn off for 20 seconds. When the power is back again, Bella sees that someone has sneaked an engagement ring from her finger. Harry questions 3 suspects. Peter says,
I was cutting a cake in the kitchen when the lights turned off.
Allie says, I was playing the piano in the living room when suddenly it became super dark. But I'm a pro, so I continued to play blindly. And Kitty says, sorry, I've been arguing on the phone with my ex-boyfriend, so I didn't look around. Who's lying? Allie. She said she was playing the piano, but there are no musical instruments in the living room. At the party, Harry meets a pretty lady named Monica. He falls in love with her at first sight, but unfortunately, she's already married. Can you guess which one of these guys is her spouse? It's the first guy. He's the only one who doesn't hold any drink, and Monica is holding 2 glasses, one for herself and one for her husband. The party goes on, and Harry meets Vlad. He's a real vampire. One of these ladies is his wife. Can you guess who? The first lady's not a vampire. She bit this cookie and smeared her red lipstick. And the second one is wearing a garlic necklace, probably to chase away evil powers. Meanwhile, the third lady has sharp ears and red eyes, so she's probably a vampire just like Vlad. But the task was to spot Vlad's wife. Nobody said that she's necessarily a vampire. Take a look at the first lady's ring finger. She has a ruby ring that's similar to Vlad's. Therefore, she's his spouse. Harry runs a hardware store chain. He arrives at one of the shops to investigate a theft. The manager says,
This morning I found out that some Xboxes are missing. They could be stolen yesterday. Only 2 guys worked last night. One of them must be the thief. Personally, I think it was Bob.
Harry asks, why do you think so?
I talked to both of them. Bob said that he saw nothing suspicious, and Zach said that he'd seen Bob put some boxes in the back seat of his car.
Harry asks the manager to take him to Bob. They approach Bob at the parking lot. Harry says, now I'm pretty sure that Zach is guilty. Why did Harry think so? Zach said Bob put some boxes in the back seat of his car. However, Bob has a 2-seat car. Harry calls the police and they arrest Zach. The manager decides to change the 7-number password on the storage door to avoid further thefts. He leaves this little clue for all his colleagues. Can you crack this code? The number of fingers implies 5. The number of angles in the triangle implies 3. The number of petals in the flower is 6. The circle implies 0. The rainbow has 7 colors. It symbolizes the number 7. And finally, the square has 4 angles, so the passcode is 536074. Harry figures out the code and changes it again to test Bob's intelligence. Harry gives him the following clue. It's a 7-digit code. The first digit is the number of zeros in the code. The second digit is the number of ones in it. The third digit is the number of 2s. The fourth digit is the number of 3s. The fifth digit is the number of 4s. The sixth digit reveals the number of 5s. And finally, the seventh digit shows the number of 6s. Can you figure out the code? The correct answer is 3211000. Harry goes on a road trip. He stops in the middle of a desert to take pictures. Can you spot 3 odd things? Harry's shadow falls to the right, and the shadows from the cacti fall to the left. He's in the desert, but this cactus is growing in a pot, and this lizard is wearing tiny shoes. Harry rents a room in a motel for a couple of days. Unfortunately, he has a very annoying neighbor, Karen. They're arguing all the time. One day, Karen calls the local security and accuses Harry of stealing her towel.
It's been raining all day long, so I didn't go to the beach and stayed in my room. Harry grabbed my beach towel from this rope. I could see from my window. He folded it and put it into his backpack. The guard immediately realizes that Karen is lying. How? The rope is outdoors. It doesn't make any sense to dry towels in the rain. Harry purchases a tour to see the local waterfalls. He takes a nap on the bus. Then he wakes up and sees that his favorite baseball cap is missing. Harry interrogates 3 tourists nearby. Sally says, "Sorry, I was sleeping too. I don't know who did it." Oliver says, "Look at me, I don't wear baseball caps, man. I prefer classy hats." And Molly says, "I think it was Sally. She's very suspicious. I'm almost sure that she tried to steal my chocolates when I fell asleep." Can you spot the thief? It was Oliver. He hid Harry's cap under his classy hat. Harry enters the local bakery. Rosie, the barista, is very upset. "I have so many coffee orders, but someone stole all the beans from the storage room." Harry interrogates 3 suspects. Louis, the cook, says, "I spent the whole day in the kitchen baking croissants, and I'm just working on a new batch. I don't have time to talk to you." Ron, the waiter, says, "I forgot to set my alarm, so I overslept and arrived just now. I don't know who sneaked the beans." And finally, Dan, the manager, says, "I've been talking to one dissatisfied customer all morning. She was so annoying. I didn't have the chance to look around." Who's lying? The cook. There are no croissants either in the kitchen or in the bakery window. Stuart works as a teacher in an old British magic school, which is located in a beautiful castle. Early in the morning, he's walking down the corridor. Suddenly, Stuart hears a loud noise from the class and goes there to check. He sees 3 students raising their wands. One of them is a fake wizard. Can you guess who? This guy. He has an ordinary twig instead of a magic wand. Stuart settles down the quarrel and goes to the dining hall. He chooses one of these 4 breakfast sets. But Stuart doesn't eat any meat or fish.
Also, he's allergic to all the purple fruits and berries. Can you help him choose the safest option? First of all, let's exclude the first breakfast. This cotton cheese bagel looks good, but it contains salmon. The second set has toast with blueberry jam, which may cause an allergic reaction. As for the fourth option, fried bacon is hiding under this cute waffle. So, Stuart should choose the third option. Although it contains some purple cabbage, nobody said that he's allergic to purple vegetables too. The cook offers Stuart a deal.
If you guess my riddle, you'll get a double dessert.
Stuart agrees. Here's the riddle.
What melts in a freezer?
The frost when the freezer is switched off. After breakfast, Stuart goes to the school greenhouse to say hi to Miss Palmer. She looks very confused.
In the morning, 3 evil wizards opened a magical portal and snuck into the greenhouse. They took the shape of my plants, and now I don't know where they are.
Can you help Stuart find them? Take a look at this cactus. It has no root. It just floats in the air without a pot. All the lilies have 6 petals, but this one only has 5. And this pumpkin has a watermelon pattern and color. Therefore, these 3 odd plants should be the wizards. Stuart walks down the Great Hall. Suddenly, an owl lands on his head and ruins his hairstyling. Stuart gets furious and asks 3 students standing nearby, "Whose owl is this?" Can you spot the owner of this bird? It's this guy. He has the same colored accessory as his owl. It's time for the flying lesson. 3 students, Wendy, Drake, and Blair, are about to have a race on their broomsticks. Can you spot who's cheating? Blair is casting a spell on her broomstick to make it go faster. Blair gets disqualified. Meanwhile, Drake and Wendy and Rob get ready to start the race. Can you guess who's gonna win? Drake has a broken broom, and Rob's position is wrong. It will take him more time to catch the broom and hit the road, so Wendy has the best chance of winning. Stuart begins Transfiguration lesson. He gives each of his students an apple and asks them to turn the fruits into stones. And then Stuart goes to the toilet. After a while, he returns and finds a huge toad sitting on his desk. Stuart questions 3 suspects. Among the students, Drake says, "I didn't do it. I was too busy with your task. Luckily, I made it." Bella says,
It was Magnus. I saw him catching a toad in the pond last night.
and Magnus says,
It was Drake. He wanted to distract you because he didn't do his homework.
who's lying? Drake. Take a look at his desk. There's an apple in front of him, but he said that he succeeded in turning it into a stone. Stuart is riding a broom in the garden during his lunch break. Suddenly, someone throws a purple paint tube on his head. Stuart loses balance and falls. He finds 3 suspects and interrogates them. Billy says,
I was just sitting under this ancient oak and doing my homework.
Bella says,
I was painting Billy's portrait. At some point, I noticed that my purple paint was missing. We both were here all the time.
and Lily says,
I was just flying on my broom. I didn't even see any paint, sir.
who pranked Stuart? There's purple paint on Bella's hands, but it's okay because she was painting. Billy's outfit looks fine, but Lily has these odd smudges of purple paint on her hair. That's because she hid the tube under her witchy hat after the prank. Stuart is visiting the human world once a week because he loves one local bakery. But today, he finds out that he's not the only magical guy here. Can you guess why? Take a look at this pretty lady. She looks young, but her reflection in the mirror shows she's an old witchy lady. Every winter, a fancy ball takes place at the magic school. Several students perform a traditional dance as part of the opening ceremony. Suddenly, one of the dancers, Lily, loses her balance and falls in front of everyone. Stuart decides to investigate this case and finds out that someone had spilled olive oil on the dance floor on purpose. He interrogates 3 suspects. Harry says,
Sir, I didn't do it. Lily is my girlfriend. Why would I prank her so meanly?
Richard says,
Lily totally deserved that. She refused to go to the ball with me. I don't know who did it, but I'm grateful to this person.
And Bella says,
Before the performance, I was taking selfies with my boyfriend. Look at the pictures, if you don't believe me.
Now Stuart knows exactly who's guilty. What about you? It was Bella. Take a look at her selfies. She's wearing a witch bottle necklace and it's filled with greenish oil, but now it's empty. The magic school hired a photographer to take fancy pictures at the ball. This photo was taken at midnight, and this one half an hour later. Can you guess what happened here? This wizard didn't push her. He was actually trying to save her by raising his hands and casting a spell. And he succeeded, as we can see from the second picture. The winter ball is over. Stuart throws an after party for teachers at his apartment. Everything goes well, but the next day, Stuart finds out that someone had stolen the rarest and most expensive spell book from his secret library. Stuart has never told anyone about this room, but the lock isn't broken, which means that the thief knew a special spell to open the door. Only 4 guests possess this level of magic: Ambrose, Morgana, Rosamond, and Richard. Stuart rushes to the teacher's room. He questions all the suspects. Each teacher claims to have nothing to do with the robbery. Can you guess who's the thief? Ambrose. His coat is missing 1 gold button because he dropped it at the crime scene. Meanwhile, Ambrose looks through the spellbook and finds a potion recipe that allows teleporting anywhere. But unfortunately, the last 3 ingredients are encoded. Here's a hint to crack the first one. It's a flower that can be found between the nose and the chin. Any idea what it might be? Tulips. Here's the next hint. What kind of vegetable do people look forward to getting every month? Celery. And this clue will lead you to the final ingredient. What kind of room can you eat? Mushroom. Ambrose finishes the potion and teleports to an unknown place. In the evening, Stuart arranges an urgent Zoom call with his fellow wizards. They're all currently in the same city, but they don't have time to meet offline. Unfortunately, their video call gets interrupted by a stranger. Can you spot the imposter? All the wizards live in the same city, which means they're in the same time zone. The call takes place in the evening. It should be dark outside, but this guy is in the middle of a sunny day. Therefore, he's the imposter. Stuart goes to the magic market to buy special ingredients for a potion that will help him find the stolen book. 1 violet costs 10 bronze coins, and the price for 1 lily is 15 coins. Can you calculate the price of this 1 starflower? One starflower will cost 20 bronze coins. Each flower costs 2.5 coins per petal. And this particular